Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is 4Y4. I am here with Turk. We will be your play-by-play and color commentators tonight as the Aegis Executioners League kicks off. We've got a Hextech Division matchup. Conduit JiJi, the preseason favorites, depending on who you ask. Not me. I'm just here as an unbiased commentator against Clown Gaming Crab Wranglers in a best-of-3. Turk, we're right into draft. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. I'm so excited to be here, and we're kicking off the season with a banger here. We talked a little bit about it before here, and you and I were both thinking Conduit JiJi is like one of the teams to beat, so I'm excited to really see how they actually line up here. And early on, as we do get into the draft, we can already see a couple bans coming through. Looks like Conduit JiJi really prioritizing that jungler ban coming through. We see that Udyr, and we do see that Xin from them.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. That Udyr could be flexed into a couple different roles, but I think the Syndra as well, to me, that's the pick that kind of stands out and shows you kind of where things are headed in the meta. And I think, yeah, knowing that, I think the AD carry matchup is probably the one to watch for us. But again, we talked a little bit beforehand that Ashe is probably going to be the only pick that's like Kerbo contested, but each player has their picks that they are a little bit more comfortable on, and bam, there's that Ashe pick. So I'll be interested to see whether they want to prioritize their hot hand and go B1 with that. But the AD carry options are getting whittled down just a little bit.
Yeah, they definitely are. And with the new patch that came out to 14.20, there's a couple champions that kind of stick out when it comes to ADCs. The main one being Caitlyn, of course. Caitlyn and Aphelios. We'll see if Aphelios comes out. Usually that doesn't, but if it does, you'll see something like a Lulu or a Tahm Kench paired with it. So B1, I wouldn't expect to see the Aphelios, possibly a Caitlyn coming through, but it might even be something more stock standard. You might see something like a Sejuani coming out, a more tank-esque style jungle. So not sure how Conduit JiJi really wants to set it up, but a champion like Sej seems to slot in pretty well. I should have known. We both should have known.
We really should have.
We talked about this.
I was going to say, I knew there was something I was missing. I was like, there's some mental bullet points that I made in the Yone, right? And I think that's exactly what you said, was like, I'm not sure if it's quite back to being B1 yet, but maybe it is. And indeed, and now it could be flexed in a couple different lanes, but we know that Conduit JiJi's got this in their bag.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously in Worlds, if anybody is watching it, no spoilers by any means, but Yone is a top priority pick. So when it came to 14.19, apparently he needed a buff. So in 14.20, he gets that right then and there. So the B1 comes through. Not too surprised to see that at all. And on the opposite side here from Red, we see Clown Gaming picking up the Jarvan, and they want to grab the Jinx with that. So a really high priority jungler coming through already.
Grab the Jinx, a hyper-scaling AD carry. We are back to kind of the Jinx Aphelios metas of old, but that was another champion that did get a buff. But Kayn on the other side, I mean, look, the kind of the bare minimum you can do in some of these, in some of these leagues is you look at the OPGGs. Chris has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, make it 7 Kayn games in a row on solo queue, and not for nothing, he's won all 7 of them and got an MVP in 4 of them, Turk.
And I was wondering if they were going to pick out the Kayn. Like, the Kayn is a great champion. You talked about it in solo queue, 100% he is. In comp, it's a little bit harder because you're able to draft around it. You can play certain champions. Like, I wouldn't be surprised, maybe a Lulu ban coming through here. Lulu tends to do pretty well into the Kayn, and obviously you could pair that really well with the Jinx. But Yeah, that's more of a solo queue-esque style champion, but if it's comfort, absolutely pull it out, and Conduit JiJi says we're more than happy to do that. So if the Kane does come through, and that was one of the things I was really wondering, equally so, we could talk about the Hui, right? So with the Yone and the Hui, so those technically speaking are both double flexes, so the Yone could go top, it could go mid, a very small chance it could go bot, but I'm wagering my bets on that Hui going bot lane to kind of counter that Jinx, actually almost outranging her. So that's my guess. That's my guess.
I was about to say, if anything, it would be the range ban, or the range advantage. But on the other side, Cloud Gaming, they are kind of calling their bluff a little bit, taking away the Kai'Sa, saying, no, I don't think that's the angle you're going to go here. And then the Yone, like you said, can go a couple different ways. And it really is about protecting this Jinx. No matter how the rest of the composition decides to shape up, you've got really, really good engage and disengage with the Jarvan and the Ornn, respectively. So, look, if you're Cloud Gaming going up against a really solid kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? A very, very heralded kind of seasoned team in Conduit JiJi. Maybe playing stock standard isn't the worst thing in the world, but again, you still got to execute.
That's exactly it, yeah. And so far, they've done a good job with their phase one. And of course, I'm talking about Cloud Gaming right now. Drafting that Jinx, you want to be able to have some champions that can create space for that champion. And of course, we've got that right there with that Ornn being able to pull trigger anytime that they do want. And a mobile Hui on the opposite side can have a lot of trouble dealing with that. So the Jinx is pretty much primed and ready to go. We do see the Lulu ban coming through, and I think that would have been a pretty solid R4 for Cloud Gaming. So I'm interested to see what they decide to do. Of course, it's going to be the Rel, and I like that too. Quite a bit of wombo already.
Yeah, this could be really, really nasty if Cloud Gaming get agency into these fights. And taking away a couple more picks here, the support Poppy is probably where that's going to go again. I mean, and then this is a champion that has seen a ton of play, not just from your Mickey X's and your Hylissang's. No, this is a really just standard pick right now. And with the amount of dashes that you're drafting this into, chef's kiss, really good stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and the Poppy actually did see a little bit of a nerf, really overtuned, and I've been playing a lot of Poppy, and when it comes to solo queue, it was almost a one trick for like the last split, so I can relate when it comes to that. But the Poppy coming through is a pretty good pick into the Jarvan, of course, into the Rel, so that slot's really nice. Of course, Ornn does have that dash too, but they do lock the Renekton, and the Renekton traditionally is a counter, or excuse me, the Ornn is traditionally a counter into the Renekton, so it'll be interesting to see how they're able to play around that. As time goes on, that Ornn's just going to get really tanky, should be able to deal with a lot of this, but you can kind of see the team comps really being set in stone here now, right? So this R5, it'll be interesting to see what we decide to do, and if they do pick up this control mage, you can already see that when it comes to it, Cloud Gaming has drafted a really nice team comp. The only issue is that they need time. So fortunately for them, they have the Jarvan. Jarvan's a bridge style champion, so he can accelerate a lot of that early game. Hopefully he can get the team rolling and kind of get those carries fed. If that's possible, then Cloud Gaming come the 2-item, 3-item spike. They're going to be extremely, extremely strong. It's going to be tricky to deal with for sure.
And again, just really good zone control. The Victor's going to help out with that as well. Pretty good neutralizer in the early lane, but like you said, in the late game, and that's going to be the crucial thing for Cloud Gaming. Can they get there? On the other side, we've got a couple of different ways these lane assignments could go. It does seem like it's going to be that Hui in the bottom lane, just going to outrange and outscale this Jinx and not let that be one of the lanes that the Jarvan can play through. At least that's how I'm reading it.
Yeah, and I'm kind of reading the same thing here too. And yeah, it's a little tricky to guess. I mean, you can already tell right away, like Conduit JiJi, when they pick this Renekton, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that that's going top. So I think that's pretty safe to say. The Yone should be mid, so the Hui should be going bot. Now, the one thing I am kind of a little bit concerned about on the side of Conduit JiJi is they don't really have the best engage right now. So when it comes down to it, being able to like really pull trigger and force fights on their own terms is going to be a little bit harder to do. While of course on the opposite side, you see Cloud Gaming having a Jarvan, having an Ornn, having a Rel. You can pull trigger whenever you want. They have really good control to around neutral objectives. They're able to get set up in the river first. Then trying to contest that is going to be extremely difficult. Trying to walk into a Victor or an Ornn is very tricky. But Cloud Gaming, the onus is really on them. If they can get that Jarvan to really start snowballing the rest of their team, then they can start to group up and they can play around their ultimate cooldowns. And then Cloud Gaming should have a pretty stock standard team comp to be able to execute with. It's just really whether or not they're able to get set up on the neutrals, whether they're actually able to get their carries fed in the process so they can be the ones who pump out the damage. Then equally so, you look at Conduit JiJi. The one thing I'm really wondering about is that Kayn. So that Kayn is 100% a comfort pick. There's no doubt about it, and he's good on it. We're not going to deny that. He's good on it. The question is, are you able to stall for enough time to be able to actually get that first transformation? And my guess right here is probably going to go for something like a red Kayn. I don't know 100%. Like I'm not a Kayn OTP, but if that Kayn, once he does have his transformation, the Conduit JiJi's team comp does start to come online too. So For me, it's pretty interesting. I don't quite know where things are going to go, but when I look at Clown Gaming's team comp, I like that a lot. It's easy to execute. You know you've got scaling on your side, so it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I think the jungle matchup and where both of these guys go pre-6, and then, like you said, trying to get their lanes ahead, get your transformation going. If you are the Kane, that's going to be what we're watching as we get into the game. We're going to take it to a quick break, though. Before we get into that, again, this is best of 3 action. First week Hex Tech Division matchup here between Conduit JiJi and Clown Gaming Crab Wranglers. We'll be right back with we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Don't go anywhere.
See you soon.
Quick shout out to ProComps, our sponsor and a game changer app for the League community. This isn't just like the other tools. It's your personal draft coach, perfect for both teams and solo players. In fact, you can pair it with any other app you use. ProComps stands out with features like custom champion pools, personalized tier lists, and live draft advice. Think of it as having a virtual coach and a strategy toolkit all in one. They offer real-time champion ban recommendations. They already have over 200,000 downloads and thousands of daily users just like you. ProComps is user-friendly and totally free. It is a no-brainer to at least give it a go. Download ProComps now, and you'll experience a whole new level of drafting power in your league games. Go to procomps.gg, download it from Overwolf, or click the panel below on our stream.
And we are in game again. Thank you so much for being with us. My name is 4x4. Turk with me on the Colorcaster roll, and starting out best of 3. It'll be Conduit JiJi against Cloud Gaming Crab Wranglers. That's going to take me a couple times, folks. I apologize. But this is an interesting draft that we've got set up here, especially on the Conduit JiJi side. So for Cloud Gaming, they are the perceived underdogs going into this one. Again, we talked about it. This should be pretty stock standard here. On the other side, we're kind of talking about it. This comp has a lot of fun things that it can do, but in terms of cohesion, it's definitely not as cohesive as the Crab Wranglers.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, right? There's a lot of things that this comp, like you talked about, it can do when it comes to like isolation, especially at lanes too. Like you almost have like the counter pick in each lane minus top itself. So when it comes to that, and we were talking a little bit about this before the game actually started, the opportunity to invade, play for the Raptors is there for the Kane. The Raptor start is super free for this Kane right now, and you can actually see Cloud Gaming starting to posture around, but it looks like the ward's going to be dropped and on that buff there for Cloud Gaming, and they're going to be able to spot this Jarvan and see where he starts, and kind of what we both thought here too, right? Starting towards top side, looking like there's going to be a lot of attention towards this bot, and I'm not too surprised about that. And I do want to bring your attention very quick there for Y2, the summoner spells on Jinx, because this is something that I have not seen, I don't think, ever. I've never once seen a TP, and I understand why, because you want to match the TP from the way. I get that. But it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Of course, usually on the Jinx, you want to pick something like a barrier or a cleanse, something along those lines, right? Where you have a bit more self-peel. So a lot of reliance on the team to create a lot of space here for that Jinx. And that TP should help her quite a bit when it comes to catching waves if she happens to die or anything like that. But it's definitely different.
Well, I think you nailed it, right? Is it puts a lot of onus on the rest of the team to play this really index into this protect the president sort of composition. Terps, meanwhile, getting the level 2 advantage and making it Marco's problem right now. It's Adam on his end. He and Koopa getting that level 2 glacial augment, down. But yeah, no, it's just about matching this way. And you see again, just indexing further into getting to the late game. But that is a challenge into a comp like, that you've got, like you said, the Kane can do some level 1 cheese. And Vifra in the jungle, he's got a lot of onus on him, right? We're talking about it. Look, you're probably going to clear top side and then just go straight down bot. But the lanes aren't in an amazing position right now to try to gank, especially on that bot side. So you want to try to get that to bounce back if at all possible, because there is a lot for the Cloud Gaming jungler to do here.
That's right. And really, when you're playing a champion like Jarvan, good trading coming in top. Lots of trading. We do have the Kane, of course, pathing towards top, but I don't anticipate any kills. But as a Jarvan, within the first 2 clears, being that bridge champion, you really want to get something going. So the onus really is on the Jarvan right now, and that's scary.
I tensed up, man. I thought if he got that charge off, we would have had some trouble here. That is not how you want that to go. Is another thing we were talking about here, as OTF going in with the soul unbound, getting pretty good damage down on Frozen Turd, but Turbs had to get the empowered Q off, even with the level advantage. Marco soaking this pressure really nicely. That's again, Turk, we were talking about it. Terps picked this Renekton into the Ornn, and Macro making a really good case for why this is such a strong kind of counter pick into the Renekton.
Yeah, 100%, right? And at this point right now, he really does just want to absorb this wave once it does come into him. The question is what happens on the bounce back right now. So the wave's still fairly neutral here. Chris, we do see hovering around a little bit of jump coming in.
Just barely, but that was enough to get aggro from the tower, and first blood onto Macro. That is a disaster start for Conduit JiJi. Chris gonna soak up the wave, but my goodness.
Yeah, 100%. And that Ornn has that onus too. You have those 3 AD champions, of course, in the Renekton, and the Kane, and the Yone, so you can absolutely start stacking that armor, and it's going to be damn near impossible to kill that Ornn. You can already see the cloth armor coming in, get his reset in, boom, look at that Bramble already. So he's scary.
No, he's just turbo shilling in lane right now. That is like the ideal first buy. Men only want one thing, and it's a Bramble Vest first buy.
Yeah, I guess so, isn't it? Yeah. And at this point right now, of course, at this point, we have the second clears beginning for these junglers. Kane starting bot originally, he's back bot now, so he's pretty safe topside Macro to be able to get this wave in, and you can see Terps. Nice dodge. Good dash. But really the onus right now is on this Ornn to be able to crash this wave, and once he does, he's going to be in a fantastic position here with that Bramble Vest, cloth armor stack, so armor already starting to come through.
My goodness. I mean, yeah, this feels really bad if you're Terps. You've got a Cutco collection in your inventory. You can do absolutely nothing into this armor stacking Ornn on the other side. Meanwhile, as Dragon spawns here, River lit up on the red side, or lit up in favor of the red side. Vifra getting that Scuttle Crab down on the other side. Chris doing the same on his end. We'll see where both teams want to prio here. It's been pretty even kind of in both lanes. And again, Macro, he's shown the ability to be able to soak up pressure, certainly from Terps. And actually, if he gets that powered auto off, I was going to say, and that he's getting no healing back there is Terps. He's going to pop some pots or something, brother. Macro hits level 6. I was going to say, he's going to go for the all-in here. Terps has to flash away, still gets hit by the edge of it. It's a disaster start for Terps. It just goes from bad to worse. Colin trying to make something happen with the Roam of the Century here, but Macro just ignores him, swats him away like a fly. Make it 2-0 for the Ornn.
Things start to get really dicey now. That orange scaling is going to be there. You hit that level 13 mark, you start vamping up the rest of the team too, and you can already start to see this. At this point right now, you can already start to create so much space for your Jinx. Ideally, you can start to see that Jinx get more ahead. Frozen Turd just kind of beginning to start pushing this wave. The 6s are there. We have Jarvan in the wing.
Jarvan waiting. That you will take that every day of the week. No flash burn, but to blow the Soul Unbound, or excuse me, the Fate Sealed. But Frozen Turd having to blow his ultimate as well, just try to catch that wave. Meanwhile, on the other side, good initial response here by Conduit JiJi. They're gonna be able to get at least a couple of these grubs before Macro comes back.
That's right. And at this point right now, you really do want to weigh out the pros and cons here. When you're trading neutrals like this, traditionally, dragons are better for team fight comps. So right now, Clown Gaming, as far as I'm concerned, is actually winning out on this cross map here and starting to stack those dragons already at this 6-minute mark. You're looking pretty healthy in that regard. The question is, does Clown Gaming actually want to contest for these second grubs or not? Giving 6 away, not so good, especially when you do have a Yone. You do actually have a bit of that split push threat coming in. But at this point in time, right? Clown Gaming, they have time on their side. They're more than welcome just to continue to scale up. Macro doing a fantastic job, really playing weak side and basically 1v2ing, almost 1v3ing at times. Get Colin roaming up top to try to do something, but nothing to be done.
Now, this is like the dream. This is exactly what you drafted Macro and that Ornn into this composition for. Down 13 CS, he doesn't give a rip. He does not care at all. Meanwhile, Adam having to roam away just a little bit, but Colin kind of doing the same thing. And both of these long-range bottom laners, again, with the TP invested, with the range kind of being the selling point of these champions in lane, they're just kind of doing what they set out to do here. They both got equal recalls, right? A couple of early item component spikes here. And the neutral objectives taken kind of in keeping, like you were saying, Turk, with what these compositions want to do. I'm waiting for the next big level 6s, and I can't help but feel like, I mean, for Adam especially, right? Vifra on the Jarvan has already hit level 6. I think that's a bigger spike for him than it is for Chris, right? For Chris, it's going to be about that transformation, right? That level 6 is all well and good, but the transformation is where stuff really starts to get going for the King.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, on the mini-map there, you can see the pings coming down on Conduit. They're spotting this Jarvan basically from the last 2-3 minutes here. They know exactly where he is. So Conduit's team, they definitely should recognize that this Jarvan's pathing towards bot side. And at this point right now, we're able to get this wave in. If you can, then you know that you're really safe at this point right now. And the Jarvan, really the lane that they do want to focus on is this bot side. And so far, he hasn't been able to get anything through. Going on to his 3rd clear now. So you want to make something happen. KTL, though.
Oh, fantastic angle by Vifra over the wall here and just making it so gosh darn easy for Koopa. Just point and click. Double kill for the Jinx. All of a sudden, Turk, you talk about the 2 biggest scaling threats on this team. They are online.
I did it too. I Casa cursed him a little bit. I apologize. Conduit. We're talking about how Jarvan needs to get something going within the first couple clears. The 3rd clear, he absolutely does that. Beautiful EQ and a little bit of an overextension from KTL. I feel like they should have known that the Jarvan was around there, given the pings coming through. It seemed like they were doing a really good job tracking him, but the EQ over the wall just comes out of nowhere there. And then the Cataclysm on top, too much damage. You can't deal with it. And at that point, that's a double kill for Jinx. And like you said, that's scaling 100% there.
Man, oh man. And now, I mean, it just gets so much easier for Clown Gaming because you don't have to force any of these fights, right? I mean, we talk about how much they want to, you know, with the wombo combo potential that this composition has. The team fight potential flashing is Frozen Turd, throws down the gravity well as well, just in case. But you'll take that flash for ult trade. Vifra here, no Cataclysm up, but he does have the flash for the flag and drag potentially if he wanted to pull that off. But Clown Gaming, very happy to, like you said, just kind of sit back and let the game come to them. The longer the game stays like this, the better it is for Clown Gaming. They're going to have to accelerate things eventually. And Conduit does have a few more tools they can play with, right? As far as a split push threat in OTF. Once he gets that Blade of the Ruined King, the game really, really opens up for him. But right now, this is Clown Gaming's world. We're just living in it. Recall channeled here by Vifra.
Oof.
I'm going, oh, the Magnet Storm crash down. KTL able to flash away, get the Spiraling Despair down. They might have bitten off a bit more than they could chew here, Turk, and indeed it looks like they did. But Kakala not done just yet here. Biffer gonna be able to flag and drag to safety, almost getting in there with the W. Here comes Chris, over Umbral Trespass over the wall. Terps is low, but that Dominus is so much healing. He doesn't have the Bramble Vest, but he doesn't care. Not able to get the Bellows Breath down or the charge. Terps just walking away and letting Chris take care of the rest. A much needed shift, bouncing back in all lanes here for Conduit.
That's right. At one point, it looks so good for Clown Gaming, and it still does, right? Again, we talked about it 100 times. We'll talk about it another 100 times here. The scaling's on your side, but there's angles right now, especially mid. Frozen Turd having no flash right now. He's very, very, very vulnerable. And we can actually see Kane right now starting off these Void Grubs here. So the second set's going to net them the 6. They have a lot of split push threat here, and that's a good chunk coming through from Frozen Turd to be able to match that there. But it's very difficult right now for this Victor to be able to create any sort of space in that lane without that flash. And at this point right now, that's another angle that Conduit has. So wins in bot side, wins in top side, you still have that angle mid. There's lots of wiggle room here for Conduit to be able to start working their way back in.
And I think it's on those timers, right? As the 4th grub was picked up by Conduit, so they hit that critical break point. But on the other side, yeah, just get 2 to kind of nullify the threat of the, not nullify, let's say dull the threat a little bit of the Yone in the side lanes. But a lot of these ultimates for Conduit are going to be coming up well before that flash comes up on Frozen Turd. And he's still on the components, right? I mean, ganking a Jinx is a little bit tougher, right? Ganking Macro, it can be done, but you got to wait for him to overextend, right? If you fight Macro on his turf, that's bad news bears. It's not going to be fun for anybody, unless, of course, your name is Macro. On the other side of things, though, OTF trying to get a little shove here, but enemy support roaming up here as Adam gets his behind up to the mid lane, starting up the Dragon. At least that's what they're looking to do on the Conduit side of things. Terps does have JiJi. Macro doesn't have his.
That's right. Clown Gaming starting to work their way back into this river right now. You can see Conduit respecting this here. OTF doing a good job, just trying to zone Adam off. Allow them, basically prevent them from getting into this choke point right now. It looks like this Dragon just won't be contested. So once again, we see another cross map coming through. Everything all said and done. And pretty good job there. Of course, the 5th grub being denied. We see an all-in, though, from Terps.
Yeah, Terps all of a sudden, he got a taste of the good life, and he's feeling really good. But man, the Dominus, I mean, Bramblefest B, gosh darn, it forces a flash out of Macro. The Q, one more will do it. If he can slice the dice his way out of there, it looks like he will be able to. Another solo bolo, well, not another, his first solo bolo, but it's been a bloodbath in the top lane.
And this is a lane that we were not expecting really much attention being put up there at all. It doesn't make sense. When you look at it on paper, beautiful interrupt.
Yeah, absolutely. Textbook stuff there from Colin. Absolutely. That's why you pick the Poppy, right? It's not, you can ball on a budget. That's why this support Poppy has been as popular as she has. Big freaking damage come down on a KTL, making me question whether I should have kept going there. Koopa able to, he's running a little low on mana there. Chris got to be a little careful. Again, just chef's kiss stuff there from Colin, stopping that.
The Poppy, really, you can already see the value coming in through that Poppy. You have the Swifty boots. You're able to get around the map that much more at this point right now. The Kane, level 9, you're pretty close to that transformation if you don't have it already here. You can see the Jarvan just starting to try to push them away here, but I mean, you got to give it to Conduit there. At one point, it feels like they're pretty out of the game, and now they're actually sitting at 1k gold up. So nothing crazy by any means, but they've done a fantastic job kind of wiggling their way back into this game here, and that's really off the back of Terps, it feels like a lot of the time.
And how do you feel about this double Black Cleaver situation we got going here?
I mean, Black Cleaver just seems like one of the best items to be building right now. Now, especially when you have a front line with the Rel, with the Ornn, you will be able to shred through. And yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because we really didn't get a chance to talk about that. Terps actually took that 1v1 and won that without the Black Cleaver. So now that he has it, right, at this point right now, he's going to be shredding Macro. So the question is for Macro, are you able to continue getting more armor? And if so, right, at this point, what point do you actually start to take this game over here? So the Ornn, you do not want to be in side lanes. You want to be grouping up, and Terps knows this too. He wants to be trading as much as possible. He's doing a great job here too. Yeah. Lots of things did not go the way for Conduit JiJi when it came to this early game, but towards this midpoint, right, at this point right now, 14 minutes in, plates are gone. So this mid game transitioning really well for them, and they've done a great job just being able to bounce back here, and really good vision towards the spot side. The Jinx are coming through just to be able to spot. They know that they're going to be on that, and arguably pretty close there, right?
Yeah, I was going to say you can't fault them for trying. That was not bad.
That's right, and I think really that's more of a reconnaissance ult. Right? If you're able to spot the enemy, you know exactly where they are, and you can actually see Vifra on this Jarvan starting to move, and equally so Conduit doing a good job here playing strong side top. So You can see the map already being split, and the question is Macro able to deal with this? Beautiful stun.
Well, he's getting CC chained right now, just trying to take someone down with him. But before the R2 even comes back, he gets gobbled up by Chris, and Shelly gobbles up the tower. Turk, we're going for a ride in the top lane. They're going to get 2 out of this OTF. Maybe he can ward off the dive as Clown Gaming immediately with the response down bot. Chris trying to get behind down there. Meanwhile, OTF gets exhausted on, but with the ult of the flash, is able to escape. TP coming down here. Will it be enough to save the tower? It might not. Ult just whiffed. Tried to get Frozen Turd there on the predict, but Turp's able to tank just enough to get that second tower down. And all of a sudden, I mean, look, again, we are just learning a lot about these teams. We haven't seen these teams in action, but the preseason expectations were that Conduit were going to be the favorites here. And these sorts of macro movements, right, and the way that they have flipped this game on its head kind of paint a picture for you as to why. And just as I say that, making me look a little stupid here, flashing away is KTL. Okay, never mind, I'm fine.
Everything is A-OK. KTL definitely wants to have that flash up. We know the next time Cataclysm is available from Jarvan. Guess who that target's going to be? Not too hard of a guess, but you got to really hand it to it. Conduit done a really good job there. They just had first move towards topside. They dropped the Rift Herald, net 2 turrets in the response, and I think crucially there too from OTF, just recognizing that you're playing weak side. I'm going to get the hell out of dodge. He just burns his R, he burns his flash, so he doesn't die in the process. They get 1 turret in response from Clown Gaming, but overall, that's definitely a net win for Conduit.
Now 2,000 gold and change ahead here. And again, four grubs, excuse me, to 2 towers to 1. The Dragon's the only thing that are even right now. But again, you like the scaling on the side of Clown Gaming. And credit to Chris and Colin, right? The 2 kind of, jungler 1 and jungler 2 roaming around trying to make things happen here and setting up space for their team to be able to stack these neutral objectives. And again, just kind of keep their foot on the gas. They want to build up this lead because as the game goes on, you're going to get an artificial gold inflation from the side of Clown Gaming. Man, they're playing with fire here, man. Every time they go forward, I get a little tense.
Yeah, for sure. But you can see right now, this is kind of just like the mind games that are coming through. You see Terps in that top side. He pushes that wave in, so of course that minion, that XP, gold, everything, etc. is going to be lost for Clown Gaming, but they recognize their team comp right now. They know that they just need to group up. They need to force an objective, and Terps, once again, he's back on this turret. He's applying pressure, so Conduit, they don't have to force anything here. They're in a very good game state here. Giving up the second dragon for Clown is A-OK, and they can go for the flip if they want, but they don't need to.
Chris going forward, almost got it, gets in, misses, and gets out. 2 dragons to 0. It is that Chemtech Soul that's going to be on the line in just a little bit. But while all that was happening, what's that? It's a bird, it's a plane? No, it's Terps. He took down a 3rd tower.
He did. And that's just a good answer there from Conduit. You're more than happy to give up that dragon. It's just second. There's no way the next soul is going to be coming through for the next 10 minutes here. You have a lot of time. And Kakalin moving back down around here is behind Frozen Turd.
Man, if he's on early MVP watch for me. If Conduit can turn this around, I mean, Terps as well for flipping that matchup how he did on his head, but just on the micro, on the mechanics that Kakalin is showing here. And also, Kakalin, if we're butchering your name right now, if it is just Colin or Canada Colin or California Colin, just holler at your boy. It's okay.
We're going to butcher a few names.
Yeah, we're going to call you Kakalin for now. And that's just how it's going to be. But the mechanics, man, that he's been showing have been really, really impressive so far. I mean, it feels like they have really been the difference in some of these fights.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not even just the mechanics. You're absolutely right on that. But it's also about where you are at any given time. His positioning's been fantastic. And Chris is behind right now, but is spotted out. Kakalin once again. And there's that interaction. We've seen that once. Now we see it twice there. Where if that Jarvan is able to just buffer that EQ, he can get out of range of that Poppy. So Jarvan does have a hard time playing this game. He did a good job when his 3rd clear when he's able to get that double kill there for his Jinx, but not much has really happened on the side of Clown Gaming just yet for maybe the past 5-10 minutes here. And Conduit JiJi, it really feels like it's their game to lose at this point, which is funny to say because not too long ago we were saying the exact opposite thing here. But tempo-wise, they've done a fantastic job. 3 turrets being netted on that top side, and not much pressure being applied to bot yet. I'd like to see Conduit begin to kind of switch and transition there. Of course, the Baron is up, but you don't really have much Baron damage if you're Conduit, so have to be a little cognizant of that. And looks like a little bit of a contest for this red buff right now, but they are on wards.
Yeah, everyone knows where everyone is, and in the other side lane, in the other long lane, been pushed right up into OTF's grill, but as they're able to get maybe a ward or two, maybe not a deep one, our Conduit. Then, you know, if emergency serves, then OTF can get in and help out just a little bit. Koopa able to grab himself that red buff. But you bring up the point about the Baron damage. I think that's very astute, right? Because we talk about the scaling and just the consistent, menacing, suffocating damage output that Cloud Gaming can put out. Hang on a second here. Adam might be stuck on the wrong side of the train tracks, but not if you ask him. Throws down the Magnet Storm here. Chris not able to get the Q out. Terps looking for a cheeky angle here. Colin gonna crash Vifra into the charge, or into the wall, excuse me. Koopa able to get decent damage down onto Chris. The Zap gonna find its mark as well. Generous hitbox, but nothing doing.
That's right, and all the meanwhile you can see OTF and that Yone, he's netting that tier 1 bot. That wave is starting to get pushed too, so somebody from Clown Gaming is going to have to deal with that. Of course, you see Frozen Turd moving there, but with no flash once again on this Victor, and it feels like for most of this game he hasn't had his flash, and if that's the case, it becomes really difficult for you to side lane. You can see right here, this is why.
Yep. Yeah, because OTF can 100 to 0 you. You got to sidestep that gravity. Well, very nicely done, but the ticking damage is just too much. Frozen Turd solo boloed his first participation in the game. 0-1-0. That's a little disingenuous, but you get the point there. But man, oh man, Turk. OTF, yeah, no summoners blown as well. And that ultimate, in the span of time it took me to say this sentence, already a quarter of the way back off cooldown. But again, you see that even though Conduit JiJi, right, their composition doesn't have as much cohesion as Cloud Gaming, it's very clear that these players individually know what they're doing with their respective champions. They know their roles in this composition.
100%, and they recognize that playing to side lanes is where they're really going to win this game. Clown Gaming wants to group up. They want to force fights. They want to have their ultimates up. And when they do, chances are they can win team fights. But if you don't give them that option, right, that Dragon Soul just isn't really there for you right now. If you get this next one, you could be on Soul Point, but you still need another 5 minutes to really get that soul rolling. So yeah, Conduit JiJi just doing a really good job of recognizing that. And you can see as they start to group up, this is where things get a little dicey for them.
And Terps, man, Terps and Chris, right? Both of them, you can't really account for the angles that they're gonna take, and OTF as well, right? I mean, Koopa, taking a lot of damage. That spiraling despair, man. And we haven't talked about Hui much. We haven't talked about KTL, but I think he's gonna make us talk about him pretty soon, man. Hui, the range and the zone control, right? That's why you pick this champion, right? But man, he just starts just printing. That's the word I'm going to use. Printing damage in the late game here. Terps gets the Steric Shields popped, so he didn't get out of there with nothing. But a lot of threats here, right? KTL, you've got your Xerath-esque kind of sit back and turret threat.
That's exactly it. And right now, too, you can see these item breakthroughs really coming through. KTL, of course, just finishing the Leandries now, so he's on that 2-item spike. Equally so on his counterpart, Koopa. He's got that 2-item spike, but Frozen Turd right now, he has his flash up, that's great, but does not have those 2 items. So the Victor damage is going to be there. It's just not as much as they were hoping for. And you can see Clown Gaming, they're moving. They still need to get through this choke here, and they've done a pretty good job being able to do that. They need to get this mid-wave going. Once they do, they're able to group up. Nice flag and drag.
Oh, nice flag and drag, but stopped in its tracks there by the steadfast presence. Macro goes in, and the rest of Conduit JiJi disappears without so much as a whimper. Chris gets exhausted. Beautifully done as soon as it comes out of the ultimate. OTF gonna try to 1v9 here. You gotta be careful with this Yone. Getting a lot of shielding back from that stair, or not the stairs, excuse me, the Immortal Shield Bow. Able to flash out of trouble here, and might be able to get enough damage here on a Frozen Turd. He's gotta be careful here. Vifra bailing him out. KTL just out of range onto Adam as he goes forward, but stopped in his tracks for now. OTF, meanwhile, picking things off on the back, and the fight has gone back and forth. Got the Spiraling Despair up, back off cooldown. A couple more might do it. Misses with the Maw. But man, OTF, the way he's playing in these bushes, able to sidestep the Zap. If he gets one more round of spells up, maybe he could go back in, but thought the better of it. 2 for 2 at the end of the day.
What a freak. That Yone absolutely saved that team fight. It looks so botched right off the start. You can see 2 members just go down instantly, but the Yone, KTL doing a great job on the Hui, actually able to buy so much time, and a bit of an overextension there from Clown Gaming. Kakalin is around here. Might be able to stall the backs out if possible. The TP is coming through here, so it looks like they want to force this fight. They want to force this play here.
Yeah, or if nothing else, right? Maybe not force a play, but just force some sort of pressure while Cloud Gaming's in a bad spot to respond, right? I mean, maybe at least you got to get this wave pushed up into that top lane tier 2. And I think if you can get that done, it's probably a successful day at the office, all things said. And OTF, man, jeez. I mean, the amount of damage that he can do in the blink of an eye is just scary.
Right, and of course Jarvan is going to have a bit of a later reset right now, so that does give that window for Conduit to start setting up towards that top side, get that vision control, and then ideally if they're able to, they can keep OTF on the spot lane. Now the only issue with that is that the Yone does not have that TP. Frozen Turd's done a good job matching this. He does of course have that teleport, so it looks like they're able to deal with the side lane pressure for now, and Clown Gaming's done a pretty good job of being able to recognize that, and really the team comp, you can see what they're trying to do, and they did a very good job with that last fight. They just overextended a little bit. They kind of got caught out on the back foot there. Just seemed like OTF and KTL did a really good job of just playing around their champion strengths, drawing that fight out, and actually able to save it, pretty much save the day for Conduit there. Because as this game goes on, right, Clown Gaming, that team comp, once they do group up, becomes very difficult to be able to deal with. So much zone control, so much CC, and that's scary.
I mean, yeah, you saw it in action right there, right? I mean, that gold lead stopped mattering really, really quick, just as soon as they grouped up and got that fight that they were looking for. But hang on a second here. Macro, if he goes down without even ulting, that is not the recipe. Terps able to get the dominance off and sustain himself, play bodyguard just a little bit. You got to pick on the Ornn. I don't think that was in the script, but they'll take it.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, that's definitely not the champion you're expecting to go down. Good news, though, you mentioned it. Didn't burn the ultimate. That means he still has the ultimate. He still has the teleport. The pings are coming down. So the Baron is going to be started up for Conduit here. And this is going to be a rather slow Baron at this point right now. The Yone damage is going to come through. So maybe not as slow as what I was thinking, but we're going to have to see, right? Does Frozen Turd decide to match this? Or does he want to play for that tier 2? He does, of course, have that teleport himself. So the onus right now is on Conduit. Are they able to prevent this Jarvan from getting into that pit? Do they want to flip this?
Well, they've got Kakalin just eating the Baron damage in the back of the pit here. Now they're just going to back off it. Yeah, the respawn timer is just too long. Here comes the TP. Kakalin got lit up in the Baron pit. Super Mega Death Rocket not going to find its mark, but
oh no,
goes at him. Able to get the CC down. Macro able to shoot his ultimate the other way here. OTF gets hoovered back on the other side of the fight. Chris able to stay safe for a little bit here. Shutdown comes in for Frozen Turd, capped off by the Cataclysm by Vifra. As Terps able to head for the hills here, able to sidestep the zap. They got what they came for, and that was a couple kills. Man, Turk, it wasn't quite as slow as we thought, but you saw just how badly that bit him in the butt.
Yeah, it definitely did, right? You want to take the Baron, you start with KTL? Oh no.
Oh,
no
yeah,
flash.
He thought he was alone. Rude surprise. The shutdown go to the Jinx here. Oh no, Chris might be next on the menu here. Exhausted. I've never seen a Kayn go through a wall slower than that. That'll be another kill to, well, somebody here trying to buy some time here. Maybe for the rest of the team to come bail him out here. Albeit, look, that red Kayn can survive for a while, but not long enough.
Now you wonder if it's a Baron angle from Clown Gaming. They're definitely in the area. The pings are coming through too. Frozen Turd does have that reset. He's able to get back on a map. Does of course have that 2 item right now. So the damage is going to come through, and they have enough for sure to be able to do this. The Poppy Arm might stop something. Nothing too crazy though. And you can see the posturing here, just doing a good job of being able to zone the rest of Conduit away from this Baron, but they need to be careful themselves too. OTF is coming.
No, they've got tools, and you see Terps getting himself into an angle completely opposite OTF. They know exactly how they want to fight, right? And Macro, again, with no ultimate, he goes down. Was body blocking for so long, bought enough time. OTF got absolutely nothing on his end. Meanwhile, Sterix Gauge shield going off for Terps, and he will go down. The double kill crucially going over to Koopa, and Vifra playing this Jarvan exceptionally. Now, Clown Gaming Crab Wranglers, they've got effectively an even gold lead, but with the ornaments that are starting to come through here, they have taken the lead. God bless you.
Oh, this Baron's such a bait, isn't it?
Yeah, really.
It feels like such a bait. Both teams just constantly trying to start it, but this, I mean, good responses from both teams. But those teleports really makes that much of a difference. And there are 3 teleports for each team in this game, so being able to get back there on the map is crucial, and they're able to do that. So now a lot of this attention is swinging from the top side to bot, and of course you can already see that Conduit has first move here. They're able to start getting into river here. At least get in a position where you can start to threaten something like this. Chris is just in a pretty good spot sitting around that banana bush right there. Just spotting out the blue buff. Maybe looking to take it, but this is wise. You still need the rest of your team to get back onto the map, and if you end up giving this position here, giving up the river, this is where Clown Gaming's team comp really comes online. And of course, right now we're sitting on that soul here for them. If they're able to get this right now, this is a pretty nice deal for them. So, Conduit JiJi, they need to figure out how they can get back into this river here. And at this point right now, you can see it. Clown Gaming is sort of giving them this option. They still need Terps though.
They still need Terps. It's a 4v5. Here comes Terps finally. Looks like the Dragon will go over. They're playing for the team fight. Man, oh man, able to get from the support. It was Adam that got the crucial damage down. Chris going for the combo there. Koopa able to flash away. Just one defensive summoner spell is enough. Beautiful Magnustorm. That's the wombo combo they're looking for. And that might be enough to win them the fight. If OTF can stay alive, maybe he's got a hope and a prayer. But aside from that, no. 5-for-1 ace. A gorgeously executed team fight from Clown Gaming Crab Wranglers. They have taken a hold of this one.
They sure have. What a great play, too, from them. All right, they're able to just get into that river, get that set up, pull trigger with their ultimates, find that angle, find another wombo combo, clean it up, and it looks like right now they're just saying, screw the Baron. We're going to pressure here for this turret, get the inhib for sure. At this point right now, we have Kakal, and he is going to be up, so I don't think there's going to be anything else here. I don't think there's going to be any Nexus turrets going down at this point right now with the death timers as low as what they are, but that's a great job there from Clown Gaming, and that buys some more time at this point right now. If you can get your reset on that victory, you know you're going to have that 3 items here, so things only get better from here.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what that third item is, but now again, 2 ornaments have come through, and the anti-healing has come through. It is going to be that Shadow Flame, or no, Death Cap, excuse me. Death Cap is that third item. I thought with that Amp Tome, maybe he was going somewhere else, but that Amp Tome he's just along for the ride, I guess. Eventually, I think you could turn that into a Void Staff, right? The crystal builds out of the Amp Tome, right?
I believe it does, yes. I believe it does.
But you wonder, Turk, I mean, the $1 million question is how repeatable is that, right, for Clown Gaming? Because it felt like that fight was a long time coming, right? It felt like that's what they were looking for, and they got it, once, a few minutes ago, twice here. Conduit JiJi being the theoretically favored team here, you got to think that they're starting to get wise to it. How do you make sure you don't get yourself in that situation again if you're Conduit?
You need to make sure you have your lanes pushed. That's the main thing right now. Side lanes are super important at this point right now. You can actually see Ornn, right? He's catching that. Of course, he does have that teleport to respawn, but by pushing those waves out, of course, you force the enemy. You force Clown Gaming to have to react to that. And once you see one person on that lane, on that wave, that could be your go timer right then and there. So it's crucial that you control these waves, and you can see Terps doing a good job right now too, right? Just hovering around mid, waiting for that next wave to come through. If they're able to get that mid priority, then they can start setting up towards this Baron. They probably can't take it, but they can absolutely look for a pick. And look at the damage coming in from Frozen Turb with that death cap.
And oh man, he's just lighting Terps up. Finally burns the flash. He still holds on to the Dominus though, crucially. So maybe you can get in range for. I mean, you can't do the flash slice of dice stun, but maybe. I mean, you're still useful. You're not a complete traffic cone if you have that Dominus. Now starting up the Baron is Clown Gaming. They've got that Chemtech Soul. We haven't talked about it a ton, but it's gonna add a little bit of extra power, tenacity. A little more powerful as you get lower in health. But Terps coming back full health here. Again, no flash, but maybe it's no problem. Chris not able to get the Q down. Again, you see Clown Gaming very much playing for the turn. Every single ultimate online except for the Victor ultimate. They get that chain CC down, but Kakalin in the backline trying to be a disruptor here. R2 doesn't go off there for, just kidding, it does for Macro. In and barely back out is OTF. Meanwhile, Frozen Turret able to get another one here. Chris is down, the support is down, but the damage still alive, but with no front line to shield them, it will not be enough. Frozen Turret with a double kill, and man, you see just how close Conduit were.
So close, so far.
Yep.
The TP comes through right now. This Baron should be going down. There's no question about this right now. Of course, Chris being dead, there's no way for a steal or anything like that. And Clown Gaming, really, at this point, can you cross your T's and dot your I's? Can you close this game out? The draft that you pulled off, it's there. It's 32 minutes into the game. You have Soul, you have Baron. We have 4 members topside. What are we able to do now with this Baron? We have this for a while. Right, so this first turret should go down. I'd like to see them get a reset in here, spend that gold, get back onto the map together, and actually start pressuring, because this is a timer right now for Conduit if they do stay. I think wisely so. Looks like they're just going to back off, sync their resets. This is great. They're going to be able to get back out on the map together as a unit. And of course, right, if you have that soul, that's great. But now comes the real important objective. Baron's great, but what's even better? Elder. So 1 minute and 45 seconds on that Elder. You can see the pings coming down through that bot side too, and Clown Gaming doing a great job here, just reacting to this game state itself here, pushing this bot wave. They need to push at least one more wave out to really get any sort of priority there. They have mid prio just naturally with that inhibitor being down, so they've done a good job here of translating the prio that they had from topside, swinging a bot, and are they able to get set up on this Elder? If they do, if they're in that river, it's gonna be very difficult for Conduit to be able to deal with that.
Yeah, you talked about it for Conduit and how they're going to have to be setting up to make sure that they don't find themselves in a sticky situation. But meanwhile, Clown Gaming doing a very good job themselves. I mean, after that top lane tier 3 went down to Terps, so the bot lane tier 2 went down, or not even went down, just got pushed up onto. They have pretty much held their ground all across the map. It has been all Clown Gaming for about the last 10-15 minutes here. And these sorts of invades to try to get a little bit more, establish vision, take a jungle camp or two that we saw out of Conduit in the early goings of the game. Now it's on the other side because Clown Gaming in the ascendancy here. taking away everything from the jungle and getting set up, of course, for that crucial Elder fight. OTF, meanwhile, might have a pick on his hands here. Frozen Turd, gorgeous stopwatch, bought him some time. Make sure Koopa able to get the kill from downtown with the super mega death rocket. That is a backbreaker for Conduit.
45-second death timer. Elder's up in 20 right now. It looks like they want to pressure for this tier 3 here. The EQ almost hitting Terps right now, but this wave is here. It is baroned up. Are they able to crack? Can they get this next inhibitor, or do they want to play for Elder? That is the question.
Yeah, I think you're going to see them play it safe here and just take an uncontested-ish Herald, right? 'Cause I don't think... I mean, well, to be fair, Chris on the Kane, it doesn't have to be a one-way mission, right? You can get in and get out. You've got the flash up, so you could try to contest that somehow. But I think, yeah, I mean, Conduit's game plan has been... Or excuse me, Cloud Gaming's game plan in the second half has felt, Turk, really controlled. Like you said, it's dotting the I's, crossing the T's. Don't do anything crazy. Don't try to... Oh, hang on a second here. Speaking of crazy, Chris... Maybe looking for a way back into this one. Now TPing in is Macro, but OTF finally joining the fight here. The damage looks like it's just too much here. Terps got separated from the rest of the gang, and now Macro gets the R2 off, and just as quickly as OTF arrived in the fight, he is snuffed out and sent right back to the gray screen. That is JiJi. Big old win here for Clown Gaming Crab Wranglers. One of their two teams off to a flying start here in the Hex Tech division.
It's a quad. Come on, Chris. Come on, Chris. You gotta give it to him. He deserves a penta. You gotta feel... Wait.
Ooh, just barely.
Good game. You gotta hand it them, especially to Frozen Turd too, right? 12-1, he finishes that game with a 700 gold bounty. That man's worth 1,000 gold in and of himself. And he was completely denied early. He was denied mid, burning flashes left, right, and center from the rest of the team there from Conduit. They did a really good job suppressing that Victor, but as time went on, that 2-item, especially that 3-item spike, that's when you could really start to see things taking off. And if you take a look at this post-game breakdown, just look at how flip-floppity this game really was, right? You could see how much gold Conduit actually ended up accruing right around that 12-minute mark. That's when they got the tier 1, the tier 2, and the tier 3 top side all within that time span, and then you could see the team comp really coming through from Clown Gaming there. And once it does, right around, coincidentally, that 30-minute mark, basically at that point, that's late game, you could see their team comp comes online, and at that point it feels so difficult for Conduit to be able to do anything. And I feel like the real answer for Conduit there is you need your side lanes to be pushed. You need to apply pressure like what we saw there when we got that tier 3 towards that top side, right? That's awesome. You need that, but you need that from your Yone. If you can't put any side lane pressure on, the second that Clown Gaming groups up, their 5v5 is just so much better. And you could see it right there. And easier to execute team comp with your ultimates up. You pull trigger. If you're able to get a wombo, that's great, but even 1 or 2 kills is perfect. That's all you need, and they do a great job right there. And kudos to them. They closed that game out exactly like how they needed to do.
Yeah, no, nothing to add, Your Honor. And you saw just how easy the game was for the damage dealers, right? And I mean, it's so often it felt like it was Terps. He got himself into some interesting positions, but then just maybe peeked out a little bit too far, and everybody just collapsed on him, right? And Frozen Turd, like you said, able to get the slows down with the gravity field, and you know, in the ultimate as well. And Koopa, I mean, we were worried maybe that 1 flash wasn't going to be enough, but 1 flash ended up being enough in pretty much every team fight, and the game kind of played itself for him. He executed, and credit to Clown Gaming, man. This is a best of 3, so we've got another game or 2, depending on how things go, coming up. So, Turk, unless you've got any final thoughts, like we're going to send it to a break. What do you say?
I think we just set it right onto a break, but I guess maybe the one thing you can kind of add towards the end there is, like, at the end of the day, Conduit, they drafted Comfort. So I like that. I like to see that, but I didn't feel like there's much cohesion in their team comp. And early to mid, you could see, like, they have plans. They have the macro in mind. They can play off side lanes. Yep. But as the game progressed, it really seemed like their team comp was just lackluster in comparison to Clown Gaming. So for game 2 on red side, I hope they're able to adapt, save their counter picks for their solos, whoever they need to, whichever they want to prioritize, whether it's mid or top, and then start seeing if they can snowball from there. Because you did end up counter picking yourself with that Renekton into that Ornn, and as time went on, you kind of saw what happened. So I hope we get to see some adaptations for game 2, for sure.
Yeah, you saw Terps. Look, he's clearly got the sauce. He could do something into that rough matchup. You saw as it went on, but again, it didn't translate into that mid and late game. We'll see how both teams adapt. Going for the upset, our Clown Gaming going against Conduit JiJi. We're right back at game 2 on the horizon when we do. Don't go anywhere.
See you soon.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is 4x4. That is Turk. We've got game 2 on the cards here in just a couple minutes. Turk, pulling off the upset in game 1 were Clown Gaming, and they used the power of friendship. A comp diff is how you put it in break. It really was, because when those 5-on-5 team fights came up, they were extremely one-sided.
Mm-hmm. They were, for sure. And moving into game 2, I wanted to see some adaptations. We talked a little bit about that before we went into the break. And for game 2, of course, we actually see Conduit electing to take blue side once again. So loser selects. They don't want red. They don't prioritize that counter pick. Instead, they prioritize the priority pick. So it'll be interesting to see what they actually end up nabbing. Does Clown Gaming change any of their bans? How do they want to respond? But to me, it seems almost like cookie cutter that B1 Yona is probably going to come through once again. Unless, of course, Clown Gaming bans it.
No, I think I agree with you, especially because, I mean, I just don't see, like, I'd be surprised if Cloud Gaming banned it. I think that's the only way.
Yeah.
It's not getting picked, right? It almost feels like, I mean, I'm not going to say, I'm playing amateur psychologist here. I'm not going to say they're just like, ego run back the same sort of draft. But when you pick the same side, right? Like you said, you are prioritizing the OPs. You are picking comfort. And that's what Conduit JiJi did for themselves in game 1. But again, just the composition and the execution didn't translate as the game went on. And conversely, I'm curious to see what Cloud Gaming run, right? Do they say, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? We can absorb pressure in the early game and just play the mid game out better.
Yeah, that's exactly it right now. And so far, everything is just stock standard from game 1. Same bans from Conduit, they're coming in, so nothing's changed there. And then, of course, we see Clown Gaming. I'm going to double check, but I think they banned... So they do actually swap it up. So far, the Jin, they've dropped that, and they banned the Viego. So they either ban the Amumu or the Jin if they want to keep it similar. But Conduit says, we don't care. We're going to ban the same things. Obviously, their game plan, they've got something cooking up, and I'm excited to see what happens here. I think their V1, like we said, it's pretty much guaranteed, set in stone. Yone is going to be locked in. Now, the question is, what happens for the rest of Phase 1? Because Phase 1's super important, right? You want to get the rest of your team going. If you pick the Yone, do you elect to grab something like a Sejuani in that tank jungle role? Is that what you want? That's a good pairing for the Yone. You can pick another melee top if that's what you also want to. And there it is, the hover coming through. Don't be surprised to see that locked in. Smolder hover, feel like that's more cheeky than anything. Ziggs, yeah, I think they're having a little fun with it right now, 4Y. But
yeah. No, I imagine that is what it's going to be. Hang on a second here. Okay, so they're taking a bit of a page out of Clown Gaming's book and saying, no, I think, again, this sets the tone for the sort of composition that you're running potentially, right? I mean, it's not a be-all, end-all, but Jinx certainly thrives in a more stock standard composition where she has that protection. She has character starting the fight for her initially. Now we'll see what they want to respond with. And again, Clown Gaming looked really good on the other side. Vifra looked really good on the Jarvan. I mean, his early game was fantastic. The way he got the Ornn and the Jinx into positions to be able to carry and hold their own in the mid and late game. Phenomenal stuff. And again, I think it just puts more onus on the other side, right? What is Chris going to draft? I wouldn't hate seeing a Sejuani, especially because you've got so much damage already coming through in the bot lane.
Yeah, absolutely, right? And of course that Jinx is going to be, it's like a double-edged sword at this point right now. Of course you get that if the priority is on the Jinx. Of course you've got that yourself, but of course you also take that from Clown Gaming. So they're happy to grab that Jarvan. If they want to answer with the Seraphine, I think that's a great pick now. I think for Clown Gaming, are they going to lock the Varus instead? Okay. So the Varus is fine too. Varus for like the last 4 or 5 years has been like the best ADC period when it comes to like B1 or like R1 or anything like that early on in a draft. It really doesn't give away anything at all. At times you could even flex him to mid and to top. I don't anticipate to see that by any means, but the Varus is a pretty good matchup into the Jinx, and you could really start to take a foothold away in that bot lane. And of course with that Jarvan, right, we talked about it, did such a good job Vifra did on that Jarvan when it came to that early game. The first 2 clears he didn't see anything come through, but that third clear he absolutely did, and that's where that double kill came through. And that Varus being picked here, I'd like to see that. So that to me screams a lot of confidence from Clown Gaming. And that R3, I feel like at this point right now, you look to lock in your support, match the rel, or get whatever you want on that end. And Conduit, they've kind of taken a lot of what Clown Gaming had for game 1, and they've kind of used it for themselves here. And of course that Yone is still up if they want to grab that.
Yeah, still
wow.
Here. Man. Well, that's one way to do it, is just anything you can do, I can do better. I'm going to grab themselves the Ornn. But again, you've drafted the Phase 1 for the Jinx very, very well. And you've given yourself at least room for one counter pick potentially on the blue side. We'll see what they want to answer with here on at the end of Phase 1 for Clown Gaming. But like you said, Turk, the Varus, it's just, there are not too many just out and out weaknesses. And Mordekaiser was one of the bans, and now that's what they're going to run into this. And again, into an engaged composition, you can hoover up one of the CC threats.
Yeah, 100% here, and I like to see this. So this phase one from Clown Gaming, right? Of course, you have that counter pick with that Mordekaiser into that Ornn. Now, the Mord did get nerfed a little bit, so I don't want to speak too much on that because I didn't actually see what the nerf was, truth be told, but I know that he did, so, I mean, I don't expect it to really negate too much, especially the Mordekaiser into tanks, so no doubt that's a huge counter pick. And then, of course, with that R1 and that R2, that Jarvan and that Varus coming through, right? That's early game, so that's so much focus on that right now. And Clown Gaming actually... They don't want to deal with the Victor themselves. They just say, we'll get rid of that. If you're going to steal our comp, we're not going to give you all of it. That's what they say right there. So I can respect that here. So this R4 right now from Clown Gaming, no doubt it's going to be that support pick. What do you prioritize grabbing here? Traditionally, you'll see something like the Alistar into that. Alistar tends to do pretty well into the Rel. The Braum is also a pretty good option here. If Conduit doesn't ban that, that Braum could go pretty well. Now, of course, you usually do want some sort of engaged support with the Jarvan, but in this instance, it makes a lot of sense. Does well into the Rel. Obviously, you can block that Ornn ult too, so that R4 support pick really is the question for me, what Clown Gaming decides to do here, and I'm honestly genuinely curious, because there's so many ways you could take this comp now.
Yeah, and then the one thing I was gonna add was gonna be, okay, well, I mean, if you're not gonna get the Victor, right, for excuse me, for Conduit, something like a Hui, right, that kind of does that same thing, right? You're a bit of an artillery mage. I mean, Victor's a little bit closer range, but Leona is gonna be the answer. Okay, it's just kind of fighting fire with fire here, essentially.
Yeah, and honestly, at the end of the day, I think the Leona makes the most sense, right, with that Jarvan. You want to have another champion that can follow up, that can set up that Jarvan too. So you have a lot of CC from Clown Gaming with the Varus, the Jarvan, and the Leona. So that R5 now, saving that counter pick for your mid, pretty crucial at this point right now. Already you're up 1-0, and arguably from what we've been told and from the research that we've done, Conduit seems to be the favorite. So Clown Gaming, they must be feeling pretty good in this instance right now. The Wukong coming through, I do like the Wukong actually, and it seems like he's been getting picked quite a bit more in Worlds. So as we progress with 14-19 and 14-20, more tanks have come through. That gives more time for Wukong to be able to continue to scale up. So the Wukong here could go really hard into the backline here, and how well it does, I don't know, but the Taliyah to me also seems pretty strong. And the Taliyah at this point right now, you want to get that mid-prow, you want to roam, and then you want to impact your side lanes. So how does Clown Gaming respond to this? Do they look to grab something like a Galio? A Galio might not be too bad here. If they want to grab the Smolder, then they're just going to look to scale. So very AD heavy, with the exception, of course, with the Mordekaiser. So does the Mordekaiser want to play to side lanes and then actually deny that Ornn, look for as many like 1v1 solo kills as possible, or draw as much pressure as you can? Or does Clown Gaming just want to say, screw it, we're going to group up, do what we did last game, and then try to force? And if that's the instance right there, then Conduit is more than welcome to start building that armor and start stacking that up. So how these team comps play out, I don't know. What I do know for sure is that Conduit has basically taken what Clown Gaming's done from game one, and they've put it on, basically put their own spin on it here. So they've drafted a really, really heavy like 5v5 engage comp here, and not a lot of pick for Conduit, but when they have their ultimates up, they can force a lot of fights very quickly.
Yeah, it almost feels like two sides of the same coin, like for both these compositions, right? I mean, the Mordekaiser obviously it's a bit of a game warping pick, and so it's who do you want to hoover up? I was a little worried about potentially something like a Galio, because when you've got Rel, Ornn, Wukong, if you throw a Galio on top of that, that to me would have felt like overkill, and also would have taken a little bit too much away from, okay, like just how much damage are you actually doing here, right? Jinx is all well and good, but if you've just got a straight up mono threat composition, you know, one good Mordekaiser ult, right? One good Leona ult, and all of a sudden it's really bad news bears. The whole comp sort of falls apart here. But man, you talk about the scaling for Clown Gaming. I mean, what the Smolder can do, obviously he's still a late game terror, not as strong as he once was on release, but still an absolute monster. And again, you've given something here to OTF that he can impact side lanes in, and that was something that, again, he was able to do as well in the early game. But the question still to me remains, how is that going to go in the mid and late game?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I think the onus really for Conduit here is to try to get that mid laner out of that lane, like you're talking about, being able to roam, impact those side lanes. Very important that you could do that. You have plenty of setup with that Jinx, with that Rel, and with that Wukong, especially at that level 6 mark. So right around the 8-minute window is when everybody's going to have their ults, maybe minus the supports. So expect a lot of things to happen then. In between then and there, you might see a couple cross maps, but Conduit's team comp is really going to start to come online right around that 8-minute mark. And of course, for Clown Gaming, it's almost the opposite, right? So they don't have a lot of mid-prow, not early on. The Smolder's going to take some time to be able to scale, but of course those side lanes, you have a lot of windows in side lanes. So how do they want to play around that? Of course, you got the Jarvan from game 1 that did so well. So game 2, I don't expect anything different there. at all, the question really does become, do you want to prioritize bot once again? Are you going to look for that 3 camp? Are you going to do that full clear like what we saw in game 1? Are you going to try to impact that bot lane? Or are you going to focus a lot on top? Those are the main questions that I've got right now. So Conduit, really good team comp to be able to unlock the Talia, play to that. Clown Gaming has really strong side lanes.
Yeah, executed it well in game 1. Again, I'm not worried about Vifra on this Jarvan. If anyone can pilot it, we've seen through a 1-game sample size that he can. See how it goes in game 2. We're going to take it to a quick break here from our sponsors, and when we come back, we will have game 2. Don't go anywhere.
See you soon.
Welcome back, everybody. Into game 2 we go. Same sides, same teams, different composition here for Conduit JiJi. Same casters, though, for better or worse, depending on what you thought of game 1. I'm 4x4, that is Turk. And on the Conduit JiJi side, taking we thought they were going to salty run back their own draft initially, because it's like, okay, well, they decided to go back to blue side, and then we thought, oh, they're not going to salty run back their own draft. They're going to salty run back Cloud Gaming's draft, but then they put their own little spin on it.
That's right. Yeah, so their phase 1 was entirely Cloud Gaming, and then phase 2, of course, is where you see that adaptation, right? You get that Wukong, and then you get that Taliyah. And of course, we talked about it, right? Mid prow is everything for Conduit JiJi. Can they get that Taliyah out of this lane, start roaming, start impacting the rest of the map? Because Cloud Gaming's team comp, the side lanes are where they're really going to accelerate here. So the onus is, of course, once again, going to be on Vifra on this Jarvan. Is he able to get something going here? Of course, you don't have the Poppy to worry about this time. You do have the Taliyah. So that might make things a little bit more difficult for you, but without that Poppy blockade there, I think he's going to be that much more impactful. So we talked about in the break very quickly. It was his 3rd clear when he impacted the game, when he pathed down bot side, and he got that double kill for Koopa on the Jinx. The question is, can he do that again? You need to have something done by that 3rd clear. Otherwise, Chris is going to be level 6, and that's when you can really start to see Conduit start to take this game over, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, certainly the opportunity presents itself a lot easier, right? I mean, you've got, well, actually, okay, you've got matching TPs on both sides here, but I mean, in terms of ways to start a fight, right? OTF can just make objectives so easy to take at level 6, just kind of ripping the ultimate on cooldown. Terps is going to have he's going to have CC, his ultimate as well, and again, if you can get Kakalin and Chris in the right positions, the game kind of plays itself for your 2 carries. The amount of CC that they could do. I mean, shoot, we saw it on the other side, right? We saw what a Rel with a little bit of extra CC could do for Cloud Gaming. It just made Koopa's job so gosh darn easy, and that's what they're hoping to replicate for Conduit JiJi. But again, Vifra on this Jarvan, that is what we're watching until level 6. Absolutely.
Yeah, Macro getting some nice trades there with that level 2 advantage, but the minions do kind of end up equalizing that at the end of the day, and as long as that wave crashes, which it looks like it's going to, that wave's going to come back to him, so he's pretty safe. I do want to bring the attention to you and to everybody watching with Frozen Turd's, not item, excuse me, but rune selection there, the Grasp. So as of this patch, I feel like it is obligatory to mention at this point right now, the Grasp is not nearly as strong on ranged champions.
Yeah.
That's right. Look at the damage coming through from Terps. Holy moly. We'll talk later.
That's messed up. Nice reverse best grasp. Very nicely done there by Macro. High level Mordekaiser gameplay to get that away. But Terps, I mean, yeah, he kind of got bodied in the first couple of levels by that Ornn matchup, but eventually was able to take it to the Ornn. But I mean, man, it just this champion, man, ever since on release, right? The assassin, mage, tank, bruiser memes aside, this champ is not what it once was. But in the early levels, you have to be careful.
100% you do. And yeah, Terps is piloting this champion very well. And like you said, game 1, things didn't go so, oh my goodness, if that seismic shove hit. I felt like that would have been Frozen Turd's lane. Would have had to burn the TP at that point, and things would have been a lot trickier there. So OTF doing a good job so far, but of course that CS is equalized. So Frozen Turd farming up very well on this Smolder. So you can see Chris hovering in the wing here. This ward is going to be cleared out by Adam. They are going to spot, I think they spotted that Wukong anyways. But they should know, but we didn't get a chance to talk about it. We assumed that Vifra was going to be pathing towards bot side, trying to impact once again like he did in game 1. In this game, of course, he started bot, pathing towards top, on that crab, so he is more towards top side right now, and as he looks towards mid, looks like the reset is going to come through. So first clear, not much happens for the Jarvan. That's A-okay. You still have a couple more to really get things rolling.
Like we said, it's that 3rd clear, yeah, that we're looking at. And the trading is pretty interesting in both of these lanes. I mean, both Terps and Macro are able to get back a TP advantage over 2 Terps, though. Again, Ornn with his passive, right? You don't have to leave the lane quite as often. But kind of going blow for blow here. A little bit more reserved early game. And again, I think it just comes down to Vifra not quite finding the angles that he wants to. The gank's so much less effective pre-6 for Chris. So just about power farming right now. But now you see, after this clear, Vifra kind of taking a similar angle. But KTL and Kakalin not going to be caught out in the same way twice.
That's right, and Conduit's done a really good job. You can see all those wards coming through, and of course, it looks like they do know because the one ping did come down, excuse me, on that ward, that tri-bush ward. So maybe not the most optimal pathing there from Vifra. Maybe the window to dodge it, but long story short, really good ward coverage. There's no doubt about that from Conduit. So they stifle that clear. Of course, you have that Jarvan. He's gonna be pathing away now. So top side's going to be the main issue at this point. Is Terps able to absorb all that pressure? Even if he goes down in this instance, which I don't think he will, even if he does, he still has that TP to be able to get back to lane. So as long as he gets that top wave in, he's going to be able to dodge a skank timer too. So Vifra could be in a little bit of trouble here depending on how this wave state goes top.
They've got that river completely lit up here. As Chris pathing down towards the bottom lane, maybe trying to get a little bit of vision as the dragon spawns. Who do you think the Grubs benefit more here? Which team?
Probably Clown Gaming, I would think, especially
my hair, right?
Yeah, well, the Mordekaiser isn't bad to group up with, but you really don't want to. So having that split push threat is nice to have on him, and nice trade coming through there. Kakalin just stalling the back from Koopa there. That's nice too. He hasn't been able to reset. This wave is in a pretty good spot too. So I think the Grubs, when it comes down to it, we'll talk later. Screw that.
Hang on a second here. An OTF gets out of lane indeed, able to take the Weaver's Wall express lane down to the bottom lane. Terps got a little bit too close for comfort there. Now Vifra hovering in the tri-brush. Terps has no idea he's there, but now he knows and he's going to make it his problem. Vifra doesn't have the Cataclysm. Could have tried the flag and drag there. Macro had flash, but without level 6, a little bit tougher to answer. But the kill means a dragon for Conduit.
That's right, and OTF doing exactly like what we talked about there. Having that mid priority, that Smolder needs time to scale. We were talking about it's about 10 stacks per minute is the average, or maybe that's the pro average. So maybe you can expect 7 to 8, something like that. But that means 23 to 25 minutes is when Smolder's really going to come online. And what are you able to do before that? In this instance, that first move with his first ultimate, just like Nocturne, if you pull that trigger with your ult, you better hope you find something there. And he does. Really good play by him, and that's just through that mid prow, rotating down to those side lanes like what we talked about.
Yep, I like that you likened it to the Nocturne ultimate, right? You kind of, not that you want to be just ripping it for the sake of ripping it, but it's so impactful, right? Just the pressure that you can create. If nothing else, I mean, it's sort of like as Mom comes down to help out for the first time. That did a little more than I thought it was going to. I'm not used to it doing that much. Able to pick up the kill there is Frozen Turd, so that advantage wiped away completely here. And now Frozen Turd walking up like he's got a front line. Adam roaming in from the mid lane. But the dragon was taken there by Conduit, so they don't surrender that, but they do give away a little bit of the advantage they created.
Yeah, that's right. So Chris does get the blue buff, but he's going to trade his life in response. And Vifra, he's topside right now taking... Well, he just took the blue. He did have the opportunity to maybe grab that Gromp, but I think equally so it's a good timer just to reset. You're going to be ahead in tempo for jungle. You can path down bot side. There's more angles there to be able to look to. So things are looking pretty good here for Clown Gaming as well. And I mean, at the end of the day right now, this really is anybody's game. Of course, you're only 8 minutes in, right? Those ultimates are starting to come up for everybody else on the map, minus those supports. So like I said, this is really anybody's game, but there are clear windows, there are clear timers that are available, and Vifra is around this bot side right now. They all coming through from Terps.
Yoink, able to cancel it. Not able to get into the death realm, I don't think. Well, hang on a second here. No, I think they are in the death realm. I'm not sure what interaction happened there. No. Never mind. All right, I boofed the I did not cast that well. I apologize. Kill goes over to Terps.
Well, you don't usually... I think the interaction was that the Ornn W came through, and it actually blocked the Mordekaiser ult. I think that's what happened. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what happened there, which is... I mean, I don't blame you, because I didn't even think that was possible myself.
I don't feel so bad now. Given that
I think that's what happened.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. But I mean, good play, right, Chris?
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Chris gets that kill with his ultimate too, so that's both ultimates there from your Wukong and from your Taliyah having that impact right now. And you can see once again OTF. You got to really hand it to KTL and Kakalin here. They're playing this lane exceptionally well, right? They're keeping this wave around here. I'd like to see KTL not take that cannon and just keep it here. Over and over and over. And again, you can see that right there. This is starting to happen. Colin doing a good job stopping these resets. Trades are coming through, but this is more of... It's not a rage trade by any means, but it almost feels like you kind of have to do something like this. Seismic Shove is landing, but bone plating for Frozen Turd negates a lot of that.
No, well said. Yeah, it's exactly that. I was curious. I'm like, homeboy's got no defensive items, no mercs or anything, right? But going for that green tree, getting the grass stacks. Yes, not as potent as it was, like you said, not as good on range champions, but bone plating, these little things really aren't allowing OTF to be able to create a kind of significant advantage that he wants. Chris waiting in the wings here on the bottom lane. If he wants to go in here, doesn't have the Cyclone up, but OTF if he can land one more seismic shove, but Frozen Turd playing very respectfully on the right side. Hang on a second, here just gets hit by a seismic shove here. Able to flash away, one more auto will do it. He said, if I'm going down, I'm taking you with me. Frozen Turd able to walk away. Chris, again, no flash, no Cyclone. He already blew his actual clone, and Frozen Turd just says, I'm just going to keep walking on my tiny little dragon legs and get myself out of trouble.
That is unreal. Beautiful flash there from Terps, but still could be in trouble here.
Yeah, Vifra does have flash. Cataclysm's going to be back up in right now. Terps not able to get the heck out of dodge. Able to get the CC chain down with the flag and drag is Vifra. Not able to dash away. Bellow's Breath. Searing Charge. None of that. Kill over back to Macro, excuse me. His first of the day.
Yep, and there we go. We can see that Jarvan coming through there in game 1. It was bot side. Game 2, it's top. Koopa.
A little bit of trouble here. Wow, turn on the gas here is Koopa. Not opting to burn the flash, so you do blow the one kind of lower leverage summoner spell there. But kills being traded back and forth now. So now we've got kind of the early game that we thought we were going to get in, or that we got in game 1. Maybe honestly not that I was expecting here, given that both these teams kind of want to scale up here. And it's been, you know, Vifra's has one kill, Chris has one kill, but it's been Frozen Turd. I mean, I got to give him credit. I mean, on the Victor, pumping out crazy damage in game 1, and early on this Smolder, playing really, really well, outputting a lot more damage than I was expecting.
Yeah, a lot. And sitting at 2-0 right now on the Smolder. The root, the CC is there. I don't think Adam dies here, but
yeah,
looks like they want to force.
The Cyclone goes down. The Super Mega Death Rocket will get the rest, but Chris goes down. Macro able to get down to cover his teammates' tracks, but the tower helping that one out. So it's a 1-for-1 support for jungler.
That's right, and I feel like Macro at this point right now, you really need to get that reset in, or you need to send Frozen Turd to that top side to catch this wave at this point right now. So you do have that swing. You can catch that mid wave. All is not lost by any means, but that's a pretty healthy 1-for-1 there from Conduit. And I'm a little surprised that they ended up burning the Cyclone there, but they get the kill in the process. But kind of like what we talked about, right? It really is Frozen Turd right now. 2-0 sitting on that Smolder, and we could see another gank here from Vifra.
Yeah, OTF doesn't have his flash, and I think he's going to pay for it. Very nice seismic shove, gets 2, but not 3 potentially. Chris going in. Chris not able to do anything. Vifra getting his first kill of the day, and now a bounty over Frozen Turd's head as they look to get Dragon for their little dragon friend.
Yeah, no TP on OTF either, so the odds of actually being able to contest this are that much lower for Conduit. Equally so, Clown Gaming looks like they're winning on both the top and the bot side of the map right now. Whether or not Conduit wants to contest this, at this point right now, I feel like it's already gone. So, good job from Clown Gaming, right? You're winning on top, you're winning in bot. So far, so good here for Clown Gaming. And once again, as time goes on, right, of course, you do have that scaling, right? And at this point right now, Frozen Turd, I feel like he's more than happy just to sit in this top side. If that's the way that things are going to play out here, maybe he sticks around for one more wave, but you can actually see Macro starting to move towards that top side. Looks like they're just going to swap back. He's going to be able to head there, and sitting at 150 gold bounty, nothing too crazy yet, with that 2-0 mark, equally CS from OTF, and we really want to see this Taliyah start to do something else right. We want to see this impact on the solo, on the side lanes, and I think KTL and Kakalin have done a good job playing around that bot wave, forcing the enemy to overextend to try to catch it, and you can see a little bit of that CS discrepancy starting, as trading does happen top. Nothing crazy, though.
No, but going back to your previous point, I mean, keeping an eye on Vifra was such a big part of the early game for Conduit, right? I mean, and you saw them execute that, again, decently well kind of in the early game. Mac was able to hoover him up. Again, this silly interaction keeps on happening. It's just like, it feels like a game of chicken, right? And just a game of, like, reaction times here as Macro gonna get hit by the Searing Charge, the Bellow's Breath, and Chris showing up at the last second to yoink the kill, burn the ultimate, burn the flash, but all is good when you get the kill.
Feels like a bit of deja vu, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. It was like in the exact same spot in the lane too.
Yep, exact same spot. The flash coming through from Colin.
Colin goes in there, gets the crash down. Koopa able to flash back into safety. A little bit of a jumble here in the bottom lane. KTL pumping the rockets into the back of Adam. Doesn't have a ton of damage or a ton of mana left, and not much health either, as KTL gets not one but two beautifully played trades there, abusing the item advantage that they had.
Yeah, they did a great job there. That collector coming through, obviously cheaper than most, I think it's still mythic items. I don't know, they change items so many times. Yeah. OTF, though, is in response. Stun comes through. Very nicely done.
Yeah, I was going to say, they got the stun off. Hang on, Vifra. Oh, my goodness. He was able to actually flash over his own Cataclysm and took the fight right to OTF. I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
That's exactly what it seems like. The real winner, though, Frozen Turd, once again.
Yep.
Pushing this wave in, just scaling at this point right now. And I don't know if we're able to. If we can click on that smolder, I don't even know if we can see it on the stream itself, but I would like to know the stack count on that. If we're able to get that. Because we're sitting at that 15-minute mark right now, and ideally he has right around 130 to 150, and if he does, like, he's absolutely onto the races here. Right? We've got this Triforce completed here. Looks like he's building towards that Muramana. So once he has that tier fully stacked, once he has that second item, things start to get really, really scary for Conduit once again.
In terms of macro, they just keep going at it here. But again, yeah, I mean, we're seeing, again, Conduit, they've got themselves a healthy little lead here.
KTL.
Adam, yeah, he's looking for a flight here. KTL is going to be in a little bit of trouble here. Yeah, and he'll just go down. Shutdown coming in over to Frozen Turd. Now Chris joined the fight along with Terps. Adam, maybe a bit off more than he could chew there. Frozen Turd launches a ball of snot at OTF. The Zenith Blade not going to land on OTF, and probably for the best, honestly.
Yeah, I'd happen to agree with that. And at the end of the day, KTL is going to go down there. So that's a nice play, and you can see Clown Gaming with this timer that they have with that death. Looks like they're going to start up this Rift Herald, more than likely uncontested. You do see Conduit posturing around here, but I feel like this could be a fool's errand.
Yeah, maybe just looking for some sort of pick, right? If you can catch Frozen Herald a little far forward, but Adam doing a very nice job playing on the vision that they've got. Again, a bit of a perspective, doing a little bit of scouting mission, Jinx ult there. But this game, pretty evenly locked here. One tower taken, 6 grubs to Clown Gaming. Not for nothing. We kind of talked about it. Look, there's no massive advantage to be gained in terms of like, okay, who's going to dominate the side lanes, but macro on the Mordekaiser, you know, if there's anyone that's going to win the contest here, it's probably going to be him, and they hoovered up all 6.
Yeah, they definitely did. The only real question you have on that top side, right? That Ornn, the CS advantage is there, and you've got that Hollowed Radiance and, of course, that built-in MR. So that 1v1, you should be able to handle a lot of this. As you can see the trades coming through there from Terps. He is going to win out for now, but as time goes on, like you mentioned, that split push threat is there for macro. He will outscale this Ornn. Tank shredding Mordekaiser is definitely a thing. So the Landry's is completed, but he definitely needs more time.
Couple other spikes hit. The Archangels turned into a Seraphs on any despairs there, but the Winter's Bulwark. I forget the second one. Fimbulwinter. I know that's
Fimble. I think that's it, right? I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember.
I think so. That's my job. Don't worry about it.
It's somebody's job. Somebody's job.
Shh, it's okay. Frozen Turd and KTL trading back and forth. And look, Frozen Turd, I don't think he's hit that 225 yet, but he is starting to hurt, man. I mean, you see, and again, once that Muramana is complete, the Smolder builds, they've gotten so varied over the course of this champion's lifespan. It was the Shojin, it was the Leandry, it was this, that, and the other. The point is, big item spikes, about an item and a half for each team, have been hit here, and now OTF and company just going to be happy to take this dragon down, but on the other side, equalizing with not 1 but 2 towers in the mid and top lane, and going to drop Shelly there for good measure. Fantastic response by Clown Gaming.
Yeah, really good heads up play there, and you'll see more of a fight. Vifra.
Yeah, the response here is Frozen Turd going to launch Mom's Wrath over the other side of the wall. Frozen Turd in a little bit of trouble here now as he gets aggressed on by Chris. Macro going to take him into the death realm here. He and Chris are locked in there, and now on the other side, OTF able to barely get away from the CC of Adam, but not from the launched arrow from Koopa from downtown. He got 2. Chris in a little bit of trouble here. He's got to be careful. He survived the trip to the death realm, but Macro not able to finish the job.
Nope, definitely not. Conduit at the end of the day there, actually able to equalize that play, and Clown Gaming did a pretty good job, right? They got that tier 1 top, they got that tier 1 mid, so I think they did a really wise decision there by not contesting for that dragon there, electing to actually concede that, and in the process, they net themselves tier 1 in mid and in top, so good heads up macro play. At the end of the day, though, right, looked like Conduit did a pretty good job of being able to collapse, get that kill. Equally so, Chris ended up getting that shutdown. So now not only does he have the Black Cleaver, he also has the Sunder Sky, so that 2-item spike on that Wukong is there. And if you're Conduit, right, you're looking at who can win the game for the enemy team. And at this point right now, there's one answer. And that's going to be Frozen Turd. Are you able to get onto that smolder? Can you lock him down? Can you burn him? If you can, then more than likely you're going to be able to win this fight. And you have those angles to be able to do it. KTL, he can hit whoever's in front of him. You can play front to back and find those angles, but equally so, that Wukong has beautiful flank angles. If you can find that, get behind into that back line. There's so many windows that this Wukong has, especially with the game state that he is in. Super accelerated.
Yeah, the angles are going to be really, really interesting, right? Because on the one hand, you want to try to layer that CC with the Ornn, the Rel, and the Magnet Storm, the Cyclone, etc. But but Cloud Gaming, they know how to fight front to back, right? We saw that in game one, and with a mono threat composition, you have to get creative, right? Because if you just play front to back, then you know kind of who's peeling for who, you know kind of how to get to the Jinx. But I do agree with you. I mean, aside from actually, now that I'm kind of thinking about it, there's a lot of good, I don't know if I'm confusing kind of backline access with CC, you know what I mean? Because I mean, like you said, Chris, with the flash double Cyclone, you can get onto Frozen Turd really, really quickly. He's running no defensive summoner spells. But then on the other side, I mean, you've got a flag and drag, you've got point and click CC from range with Adam, you've got the Chains of Despair, Chains of Corruption, excuse me. I don't know, man. Who do you think's got better access to the big threat 80 carry?
The big threat 80 carry right now, I still think it's going to be Conduit at the end of the day. As long as they have their ultimates up, they can pull trigger anytime that they want. The question is Frozen Turd, is he able to get right now in this instance, he has his flash, so you feel like he's pretty safe from a Cyclone, you feel like he's pretty safe from an Ornn. So are they able to play around that? When I say are they, I mean Conduit. Can Conduit recognize the timers that they have to be able to find those windows to pull trigger on Frozen Turd? If the answer is yes, then the team fight's done. There's no question about it. I feel like they have more access to be able to do that. Now, the good news from Cloud Gaming is that there's no doubt about that. They can do the same thing to KTL. The one thing I will say, though, is that KTL does have the cleanse.
Yeah.
A little bit of a trade coming in here. Nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy just yet. And at this point right now, right, the game's kind of slowed down. Both teams are kind of hovering around this mid lane. They're waiting to play for this dragon. You can actually see Terps on this Ornn. He's hovering in this bot side right now. If he does elect to take his reset, that's A-okay. He can catch whatever side lane he needs to, but the next attention really is going to be around this dragon.
2-1 in favor of Conduit. Going to be in a Cloud Soul. Will be on the table here in 5-6 minutes here potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Conduit.
That's right.
Just trying to get that extra little bit of damage here. As the Taliyah, we talked about it kind of as that second threat. Look, Jinx is the bread, the butter, the jam, the peanut butter. It's the whole gosh darn sandwich. But if you can have another piece of damage, another source of consistent damage coming through, if you're OTF, you're feeling really, really good about it, right? Because I mean, the attention isn't all just focused on, right, the gravity, the black hole that is the Jinx. But like you said, this game has slowed down significantly. Looks like they're going to trade well, maybe not trade objectives. There is that Baron, but they're going to start this up here.
It looks like Conduit is sniffing this out. They recognize this. The Jinx are definitely granting some vision here, so don't be surprised to see a bit of a fight.
Macro playing bodyguard. Who's he going to hoover up into the death roll? Potentially very nice seismic shove lands. The defensive solar flare has to come out, but now in the back line with nowhere else to go is Kakalan able to get the Magnet Storm down. Very nice defensive ultimate there by Terps, able to get onto Vifra and take him down. Didn't use the Cataclysm or anything. Mom comes down and rains some decent damage down. Chris trying to get into the back line and apply some CC, but Terps is really low. KTL's got to be careful. Able to get the reset down for one, flashing full. Just barely misses out. Koopa able to get the damage down for Frozen Turd to finish it off. Just barely. It's a slobber knocker. 3 for 3. Kills traded back and forth.
Yeah, that's just Cloud Gaming recognized. They knew what was going to happen. Game State says Conduit's going to be playing for this dragon. They want to stack. They want to get to that soul point. What do we do in response? Do we try to match them? If we match them, we could be at a disadvantage. So instead, they force their hand. They start that fight up top side. So they play for the Baron. It's sniffed out from Conduit, and they do a good job recognizing that. And at the end of the day, it's a slobber knocker. You said it. It's a 3 for 3. So now what happens here? Cloud Gaming, they end up getting out of the map quicker. So they have first access to River. We can see Terps, he is towards topside. He does have that TP. He can burn it. OTF needs to get that reset. Once again, he has that TP too. So does Conduit decide to contest this, or do they play for a cross map? That's the main question right here. Because at this point right now, you don't have the ultimates on your Ornn. You don't have the ultimate on your Wukong. I think this is smart by them, recognizing that if they just continue to scale up, wait for those ults, the timers will come. So Cloud Gaming, at the end of the day, able to grab that dragon, deny that soul stacking, but Terps doing a good job recognizing that, getting that tier 1 top.
Yeah, crucial ultimates there. Like you said, the Ornn and the Wukong from Terps and Chris. That is the straw that stirs the drink, right? I mean, OTF, that Weaver's Wall, you can get yourself in a good position, great, and even Kakalin, if you can't have the Rel be the primary or only source of engagement, it's primary maybe, but you need some sort of follow-up around that, right? Or you have to have her be the follow-up. On a support budget, you were just going to get 100-0, and I think that's part of what went wrong in that last team fight, was Kakalin was kind of just like caught in a bad spot, couldn't get close enough, had to flash ult and commit everything just to try to like, look, I'm laying down some CC, I'm giving you guys some time, but that was far from an ideal setup there from Conduit. But again, you see the vision, you see more or less what Cloud Gaming did in game one. Both of these compositions, incredibly potent ultimates, but I also feel like, I mean, and the Mordekaiser's a big part of it, sure, but Cloud Gaming, they're a little more comfortable having the fight come to them.
Yeah, I completely agree with that too. At the end of the day, if you're that smolder, you're able to zone away, you can create a lot of pressure for that. Like Conduit, they are able to retake and get like vision back in that river, and both teams right now do have some pretty solid neutral vision around this Baron, so don't be surprised if really the next 30 seconds to a minute time is really going to be spent around these mid lanes, pushing these out, getting the vision set up. Like you can already see that pink being placed in the top side river bush, right? We can also see Conduit pushing here, jockeying for prile on mid, and as a result, Cloud Gaming is trying to react. Beautiful shove.
Seismic Shove finds another victim. Surgical from OTF, able to get the kill and the tower into the pocket of KTL. Very nice zoning ultimate there from Terps. Able to get Vifra out of this fight completely. Now maybe, excuse me, looking for a way back in, potentially OTF. Ooh, kidding. Almost there, but very nice pick. One Seismic Shove just set off completely. Very nicely done. And again, you got Frozen Turd. That's all you needed.
That's right. At this point right now, you got him. You still have the TP on the Talia. We see the movement here from Conduit. They're heading towards this top side. No pinks on the Baron yet, but it looks like they are going to start it. Of course, the vision is there, so the TP comes through from OTF. What happens now? There's no TP on Frozen Turd, so he can't get here quite enough. It looks like this is definitely a timer for Conduit. Can they pull trigger? Can they find their angle?
Kakalin going in here. You want that follow-up CC. It's there. Macro is completely separated from the fight. Shutdown actually goes over to Kakalin, but it's KTL doing all the heavy lifting for Conduit.
Beautiful.
3 kills go over to the team on the blue side, and Baron is their reward. That's
right. Kakalin does such a good job playing around that vision control. Now, just don't flip the Baron, and things are so good for Conduit, but that's a beautiful play from the Rel. We talked about it, right? You want those flank angles. You have that Wukong, you have that Rel. If you can find that access to the backline, or even just find a wombo like what we saw right there, members die so quickly. So kudos to Kakalin. He did a great job in game one on that Poppy, being in the right place at the right time for a good chunk of the early to mid game. But right there is super crucial. He finds a massive engage, pulls trigger, decisive, makes things happen for the team, and as a result, they get Baron. So what does Conduit do with this Baron advantage right now? How do they set up? How do they continue to pressure this game? They're sitting at right around a 5k gold lead, so they've got a lot of options here. Terps towards top. I wonder if he's going to reset, get back onto the map, group up with his team, or what they're going to do.
Yeah, because you don't have that out-and-out side lane threat, right? But they might not need it if they could just get a pick here onto Adam. Mom comes out, not doing a ton of damage just yet. That rapid fire, right? Not a lot of raw combat power, but keeping you safe. That's the name of the game for Frozen Turd. Another pick from Conduit, making their pushing battle just a little bit easier.
They all comes through from Macro. He want to force this, and he's trying to get some tempo back right now. Terps answering with the ult himself.
Ooh, very nicely done. Macro able to shimmy around him, but was it worth burning that flash just to dodge that R2? Well, Terp burned his flash, so all square at the end of the day. Oh, Kakalin going in here, flashes over. Doesn't have the Magnet Storm. Excuse me. Tower finally goes down. Seismic Shove to follow it up. Kakalin coming from Narnia takes the portal through. Says surprise, ladies and gentlemen, and able to get another pick here. Dragon next on the menu here. Conduit have completely taken control of this game.
Oh yeah, and they're not skipping steps here either. They're playing around the mid prow. They get the advantage there. They shove it in. In the meantime, they swing into the bot side. You can actually see this instance right now on the stream. You can't, but there's a pink just a little bit more up there. Actually, I believe Colin just dropped another pink, so it's gone. But long story short, he's once again in Fog of War. He finds that angle, pulls trigger with the Hex Flash, nets Koopa, and the chain CC is there. It's so hard right now for Cloud Gaming to take, and this is why.
They just zone off these choke points so well. Frozen Turd, he can't feel safe. He can only get kind of like one spell rotation and a couple autos out. It's really not enough. I mean, fair enough for Cloud Gaming, right? Try to maybe catch Conduit with their pants down, right? See if they do skip any steps and just completely turn their back. But No, it won't be the case. Now up 7,000 gold here, and still with the remnants of that Baron buff, Terps just Mondo chilling up in the top lane. Very happy to be doing his thing, playing on top laner island. No ultimate available for Macro. Koopa does have the Chains of Corruption. Vifra going to be up there as well, wasting a lot of his time. 2024. What can Conduit do in response?
Terps is getting chunked right now.
Well, maybe they're just going to take the fight to him. Super Mega Death Rocket did a ton of damage to Koopa.
Wow.
Terps buying so much time. Are you kidding me? Is he going to survive this? Stop it. Terps on 3.5 items buys all the time in the world. That's just a go next for Cloud Gaming, man. If you can't get anything off that, in fact, 3 members went down, dude.
Brother, man, it feels exactly like that right now. You still have that TP on that orange, so Terps, you can still burn that TP to bot side if you want. You can start pressuring all 3 lanes at once right now. And this tier 2, I don't think it's long for the world.
Oh, man, that is a backbreaker for Cloud Gaming. I thought for sure you get something there. Force Conduit into a tricky response. Maybe catch someone on a rotation. Mom's doing her best to help out, but she just barely tickles Chris there. Conduit in complete control here, up almost 10,000 gold now. Next neutral objective's not up for another 3 minutes, but I mean, Cloud Gaming can't even get near Conduit right now.
Nope, they can't. Not at all. In Conduit, they're just doing a really good job constantly swapping. So they'll put all their attention towards topside, then they'll swing to bot. They'll play for the neutral, they'll secure it. And in response, Cloud Gaming, instead of trying to cross map, they try to answer bot. In that instance right there, you lose bot side, which means you also lose top. They full commit top side to 3 members, and they get wiped. And now this game state feels that much more dire. You mentioned it. It's 10k gold lead right now. All the outers minus this bot side right now are gone. So really, it does feel like at this point right now, everything is in place for Conduit to be able to start moving to close this game out. We've got 3 minutes on the next dragon, which puts them at soul. You've got 1 minute and 40 seconds on the Baron. So the question is, what does Conduit prioritize? Do they want to set up that vision control around that top side? Do they want to try to make sure that they're able to net this Baron? Are they willing to try to flip it? In this instance, to me right now, it seems like the safest play, get your resets, which is what they're doing, get back out on the map, get mid-prow, push that out, play towards top side, and look to really just slowly but surely choke the enemy team out, which is what they've done so well past this mid-game. And honest to God, I'm going to go back to it. Kakalin, it's really been off the back of him. Just finding those windows and finding those angles where there's just no vision. In League is definitely a game of vision, but the absence of vision is more important. Cloud Gaming has no wards at all in their jungle, which means it's not their jungle anymore. Conduit controls the whole pace of this game, and the onus is on them. Adam.
Yeah, Adam, again, poor fella. He's just trying to get that aforementioned vision back for his team. But OTF will lop his head off and present it to his lord as tribute as they head on over to the Baron. Still another 40 seconds on it. Yeah, I mean, it's just dotting the I's and crossing the T's right now for Conduit JiJi. And you'd like to think that still, I mean, well, there's no armor pen on Frozen Turd, actually. Actually, there's no armor pen on anybody except for Vifra, which is not a place you want to find yourself in. That was something we called out in the draft was, look, this is, aside from the Mordekai's, is a pretty AD-heavy draft. But, I mean, as far as just the damage that is actually going to do anything, it's coming from Frozen Turd and Koopa, right? Macro's doing his job. He's, ulting a target here and there, but hasn't been the best of games for him. Right now, it just feels like even if you keep Frozen Turd safe, he just might not have the damage, I feel like.
That's right. Now you can see Cloud Gaming, they're trying to find something. They're trying to pressure the map here. So they're answering that tier 2 right now. Nobody's in response. Terps does cancel his back. I was wondering if he was going to try to answer that himself, but instead it looks like Conduit, they elect just to stay here, topside, control this Baron. So is somebody going to match Macro on this Mordekaiser? Is he going to continue to push? And I think this is the only thing that Cloud Gaming can do right now. They can try to draw somebody to a side lane, and if they're able to find that window, where if they see somebody bot side, they can pull trigger, force a fight, then maybe there's a chance. But you need those side lanes pushed out. Bot is there, Terps is catching, so now at this point right now, once again, it's all about these neutrals. Mid-prio, what do we play for? And the good news for Conduit, they don't have to contest Dragon if they don't want to. Looks like they're willing to walk in though.
Seismic shove again, going to Lantern. No, that was the throwback there, by Kakalin, but now he's getting lit up here. The follow-up CC just isn't there. Chris finally able to get into the backline, but he flashes immediately back out, burns a Cyclone defensively, and Frozen Turd was just kind of free-firing in the backline. Bit off a little more than he could chew, did Kakalin, but now the pings are going over to the Baron. They're still confident enough to turn this, but a couple huge ultimates not available.
That's right, and that's what side lane pressure does, right? You see Terps catching that bot wave. When he does, the TP does not come through. They pull trigger, they find the pick on Kakalin. Has his flash. I don't know if he had his flash before the fight, but he most certainly does right now. So in this response, Conduit, I think wisely so, is going to start up this Baron. The question is, do they have enough damage to finish it? As we look, there's no doubt in our minds that they're going to get this here. So the soul denied, but the Baron secured. Conduit's still coming out ahead as far as I'm concerned in that trade. Now the question is, are you able to get back out? Are you able to get synced up as a team? You've got your 4 resets. Kakalin's back out on the map right now. Can you find something here with this Baron and continue to pressure? This is your game to lose if you're Conduit.
Yep. 100%. And all 4 characters, not named the support, all 4 champs have an ornament. They've got the Orn items going, so that 8,000 gold lead you see up at the top of your screen, add a little bit more to it, maybe 1,000-ish, maybe 1,500 gold worth of actual just combat power onto that lead. It's, I mean, at this point, it's, are you up by a crap ton or like a, I haven't been here long enough to use that word, but you get what I'm saying. They're up a lot of gold. That's the point here. But again, you see, look, if you can get a disjointed fight, right? Frozen Turd still does a decent amount of damage here. I still don't think it's enough here. I still think you need that kind of, that 5th item to be able to go toe to toe, get that pen, right? Because if you can get that shred, right, you can spread it as well, right? With the splash damage from your Q, Frozen Turd can just shred right through all the armor that everybody else is building here for Conduit. But right now with this Baron push, it is really, really tough. Going to be another 3 minutes till the next neutral objective here. But right now, Conduit is just, don't make any mistakes. Don't beat yourself.
That's right, and they have really good lane assignments here. You see this a lot with LCK and LPL teams where they'll just send 4 members to a side lane. It's much easier to set up with a Baron on a side lane. You can't get flanked. You literally cannot get flanked. So by setting up these 4 members right here and having Terps mid, he can constantly Baron up that mid wave, continue to apply pressure, and OTF, beautiful trade there. Seismic Shove does so much damage at this point. Holy. And now, of course, Koopa's going to have to take his reset off that. The next bot wave isn't there just yet, so the pressure can't quite be applied. You can see mid wave is ahead of bot wave, so those waves are staggered at this point right now. Clown Gaming can respond, match these waves, but as this next bot wave comes in here, this is the next question. What happens here? Can Conduit continue to apply this pressure?
Frozen Turd able to kind of poke a little bit here, right? Thin out the wave just a little bit, but you always got to respect that Seismic Shove. If it can come out of nowhere, if you're not paying attention, that will lose you the game. If Frozen Turd gets flipped, then that's GG. That is all you need to do. Still another couple minutes until the neutral objectives come up here. Much more controlled mid and late game here from Conduit. They feel a lot more at home running this type of composition, having Chris be a facilitator, and Kakalin, again, we've sung his praises on the Poppy and then on the Rel. Very nicely done. Both of them. Oh my goodness, what a catch here by OTF. Very nicely done. Gets the Seismic Shove down, but Vifra able to EQ out of there. Oh, got onto a stun there. Very nice route. How did we get the R2 down his turf and just free firing our Koopa and Frozen Turd? They 100-0 the orange shutdown. And OTF not going to get that grass. Gets a Seismic Shove out the obliterate. Not going to matter with that Sheriff Shield, but I think Macro with a couple more autos is going to be able to do it here. Just buying a little more time with that Sterex, or with that stopwatch, excuse me, the other one. Hang on a second here, Turk. Look, Clown Gaming not going quietly into that good night.
No, they're not. Not at all, and that's good. That's just a really good heads-up play from Clown Gaming, and they recognize the game state right there. They can pull trigger, they force a fight, and really feels like a bit of an overextension there from OTF. They look for the play on the Jarvan. They almost get him, but in the process, Terps ends up going under turret. He gets chain CC'd to oblivion. He gets burned down. As soon as that happens, the rest of your front line, well, your front line's gone. You don't really have much of a front line after that, so creating space there is so difficult. The flash is burned from Macro to be able to ult, get the kill on OTF. And right now here, we can still see some jockeying being done. The next neutral isn't up for another minute, but that Baron from Conduit basically stifled. You get a tier 2 bot, which is great, and good news, you do break open the map mid, but very well played by Clown Gaming. Definitely stifled Baron.
And Clown Gaming, this is something that, I mean, this game has gone a lot worse for them, but in both Game 1 and Game 2, the way they have been able to kind of, again, stifle Barons, right? I mean, the resources that Conduit have gotten, even in Game 1 and Game 2, they've come off the back of fight wins, right? I mean, it hasn't really been, especially in the mid and late game, I should say. In the early game, it was a lot of, right, you saw Terps on the Renekton, able to get a couple towers in, as Chris almost had a blind date set up there with Vifra, but nothing doing here. Soul on the line in 30 seconds here. Clown Gaming, Vifra throws the Demacian standard down, gets a little bit of vision. Terps trying to stay hidden just a little bit here. Battle lines drawn here. You feel like this is the game here, Turk.
It really does. At this point right now, both teams just continue to jockey over this mid-prow, and both waves are cleared at this point right now, so you can see Terps just beginning to force these members off, and really at this point, Conduit looks to pull trigger as soon as Clown Gaming funnels into a choke, which means Clown Gaming has to push out this mid wave, and they have to swing in through that bot side river bush. It's massive there. That's the only angle. Otherwise, something like this can happen here, where if you get funneled into a choke, trigger can get pulled. Macro.
Oh, Macro's got to be careful here. He's able to hoover Chris into the death realm. He's going to just take the fight to him. Meanwhile, Terps body blocking everyone else away. Kakalit acting as that secondary front line here. Frozen Turd able to get some damage down, but only out of the front line as OTF and KTL are still completely free, and KTL's got the recess. That means KTL is going to be nigh unstoppable. Ventures into the brush. He's not afraid of a melee range Jarvan fight because he is monstrous right now. Pops the GA on a Frozen Turd. Just got to dot the I's and cross the T's, and that should be curtains. The double kill comes through for OTF. That should be the ball game for Conduit.
That's right. The pings are coming down on that top side wave. We can see the rest of the team moving there from Conduit. Looks like they're going to be able to close this out, taking the inhibitor just for extra measure here. The only member alive still Koopa, and look at the damage. He's 3-hit.
That's messed up.
He just got 3-hit. Holy moly, KTL.
That's
such a good job.
Jinx, man. The champ is she's the poster child of League of Legends for a reason, man. 10 years old and this champ still freaking rips. What a game from Conduit. Way to bounce back. Man, did they need that. KTL, what a performance by him.
Yeah, that is a fantastic bounce back game. And early game, I wasn't so sure how things were going to go, but right, we saw Frozen Turd with that 2-0 mark, and he was looking really strong at that point. But as the time went on in that game, you could really see that Conduit just began to get setup after setup after setup, and it really was off the back of Kakalin there on that rel, and he did such a good job playing around the vision, or really the absence of vision from Clown Gaming. So kudos to him, right? And as we look at this post-game breakdown right now, that goal graph, wow, it's slightly indicative to that game state. It felt like at times, though, almost Conduit had, I shouldn't say Conduit, it felt like Clown Gaming actually had timers there to be able to pull that game back. It seemed like it, at least, right? But at the end of the day, Conduit played so well as a team. They did such a good job around the neutral objectives, and Clown Gaming, they got funneled into a lot of chokes. So when you're trying to contest for a neutral, if you're trying to do that, you cannot take the easy path. The easy path is through that banana bush, walk in through there, and the second that you do, you're into a choke. And guess what happens? You get blown up. You have Wukong Cyclone, you have Talia Seismic Shove, you have Ornn, you have Rel. That's way too much AoE wombo. So the only way that you can match is to either cross map. Later on in the game, it's very difficult, but mid to later, you can cross map, or you need to get mid prow. And if you have mid prow, you can walk in through that big river bush, and that way you're not bunched up. Maybe you can contest, but Conduit JiJi just takes a page from Clown Gaming's book. Their phase 1, identical, same champions. So now it makes me wonder, like, what happens now? Does Clown Gaming decide to take blue? Do they want to take red? Right? This is kind of the mind games, and this is a fun part of League, especially competitive. It's like, how are we going to adapt for Game 3? Like, are bans going to be different? I anticipate they will be. The Yone turned out to not be a priority pick at all in Game 2. Completely negated, went all the way through Phase 1, all the way through Phase 2. Not even banned. Oh, actually, it was banned. I apologize. It was banned, but it wasn't banned by Clown Gaming. It was banned by Conduit.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man, but I am... I'm excited because that Game 2 really hyped me up here, so Game 3 should be fun.
Yeah, no, Game 3 should be a good one. I think if nothing else, we're going to see definitely some targeted Phase 2 bans. That's what I think. I think maybe the Jinx is completely off the menu, right? She's 2-0 now, right? The Jinx Rel is 2-0, and I mean, team fighting just seems to be kind of the name of the game, right? And again, with the side selection, will that change how Cloud Gaming want to approach this? Game 1 was pretty stock standard. Game 2, until the mid game there, it was actually going okay for him. Like you said, you know, you kind of didn't think that Conduit was really running away with things, but then when the team fights hit, and I mean, KTL, what a performance on the Jinx. I mean, we didn't really talk about it that much, but that felt like the matchup to watch, right? These two AD carries probably in terms of, if nothing else, just where they are on the ladder. Probably the two teams' two best players, they're star players, and I mean, they're really playing like it. But Frozen Turd as well, looking really, really good for Clown Gaming. The top lane match has been interesting. It's been a good one here, Turk. I mean, we can, anything you're thinking of as far as how maybe Game 3 draft might go, or do you still want to sit on it for a little bit?
I mean, it's tough to say. I think it's safe to say. It's tough to say, but I think it's safe to say that certain champions won't be available. Jinx, gone. There's no way that a Jinx gets through here for this draft. So the question really does become like, what does Cloud Gaming want to do, right? So they've had red both sides, which means you get counterpicked both sides, or both times, excuse me. So do they now switch? Do they want to go to blue? If they go to blue, obviously by default that forces Conduit to drop one of their bans, ban that Jinx in the process. So lots of mind games that are going to happen here for this game 3, and that's really all I got for you because I don't know what's going to happen next, and I think that's kind of the fun part about it.
Yeah, but I think you nailed it. I think that Jinx is going to be very high priority. Aphelios did get some buffs in 1420, so if you don't like one hyperscaling AD carry, maybe you just go with the other one of that classic handshake matchup. We will see. We will tell you all about that and some more in just a second. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, a game 3 between Conduit JiJi and Cloud Gaming Crab Wranglers.
See you soon.
Welcome back, gang. Game 3 between Conduit JiJi and Cloud Gaming Crab Wranglers. Should be a good one, Turk. Games 1 and 2 gave us not only 2 different winners, obviously, but, well, I was going to say 2 different kind of styles of play, but that's not really the case, is it? I mean, both teams kind of won with stock standard, protect the president, Jinx comps. And it's funny because Conduit, they played a composition that was just so not that in game 1. And coming into the series as the presumptive favorites, took blue side. Spoiler alert, all 3 times at this point. Well, Cloud Gaming technically, they took game 2 because they were, they took red side on game 3 because they were the losers, blah, 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 blah. But Conduit clearly have, the two wolves inside of them. We'll see which one is going to win here. Do they go back to what has won them this, or maybe they're feeling themselves here and say, you know what, we're going to, run something a little more, just to play a little more bully ball, maybe.
That's it, right? We were both kind of wondering what ends up happening, right? When Clown actually ends up losing, do they elect to take the blue side, then force that Jinx ban? But instead, nope, they want red, so they want those counter picks. That's what they'll get right here. In Conduit, I don't anticipate any bans changing for them. However, Clown, I do. So we'll have to see. I couldn't imagine that Jinx getting through, but if it does, then Clown must have some sort of a response to this. And what that is, at this point, I'm not sure. Truth be told, I mean, like, I've seen like Kalista. I don't think we'll end up seeing a champion like that come through, but like I've seen a Draven, I've seen Jhin, but really I think the safest play is just to ban it. Both teams have done a really good job playing around that Jinx, did a really good job drafting around that Jinx too. Mm-hmm. So what ends up coming through, I don't know, but yeah, Conduit, same bans, and there we go right there. Smartest move for sure. Now, does that mean that Conduit wants this Yone? Because that option is still there if that's what they want. I don't know. I don't know for why, and I think that's kind of the really the fun part about this. And Conduit, no way. Did they do that? Oh my god.
Well, I mean, look, he's kind of as winnable as you get, right? But again, on the other side, right, you said, we're talking about it. Where does that Yone go in game one? Does it go mid? Does it go top, right? We're kind of surprised that the Renekton was kind of self-counterpicked. Could you just take the Yone into it, right? Because once you get that Bork, life gets a lot easier. So maybe if Cloud Gaming is feeling themselves and they want to, give a little middle finger up to Conduit, maybe they say, you know what? We can win with this Yone. You couldn't, but maybe we can. Instead, might be Rel with another hyperscaler. Rel just so strong.
Yeah, so impactful for both game one and game two, right? So game three right here, of course, Clown Gaming is going to happily take that. The Volibear, if that lock does come through, then that's essentially going to be Jarvan, but a bit more on steroids. So you don't have all the presence that you would with a Jarvan Cataclysm. But with that being said, that Volibear is still extremely strong in the early game. And something to note too, especially on red side, that is a flex pick. So that could go top, that could be matched into the Ornn if that's what they do want. Or of course that could still be going jungle, but I think so far, to me, I'm not too surprised. The one thing that will stick out is that Ornn, but it makes sense the way that this series has gone on, how both teams have adapted. To me, I can understand why they've elected to grab that Ornn, and the Nautilus pick coming through, really guaranteed lockdown. So maybe Clown Gaming goes for something like a Xayah if they happen to play that. I know Xayah does do well into Nautilus, but if you pick in a mobile ADC, you will have to be a bit careful of that. So we'll kind of see how they choose to adapt, but don't be surprised right now if we just see another AD carry coming through. And really, at this point, it is the pick of the litter. Of course, Ashe and Jinx aren't available, but still lots of options.
Hey, they ran a cleanseless, barrierless Jinx and rode that to a victory, so they can play the immobile AD carry game. But Clown Gaming, or Conduit, excuse me, try to go back to the carry jungler gaming. I mean, look, Lilia, I think a lot more multidimensional than the Kayn, right? It's not just like completely boom or bust. You still have an extremely impactful ultimate if you can get it down. You can activate it from range, obviously. So Lilia going to be the pick here for Chris. Played a couple different styles of jungler here and kind of blinding that, but you've got decent, kind of team fight setup around it as well.
Yeah, you definitely do right now. If we actually do see this pick come through, I do like this. I think the Ziggs is actually still extremely strong. He's received a couple nerfs since 14-18, but that champion still really is on steroids at the end of the day. There's so much pressure that champion can have. Still technically a flex, but more than likely going bot. So, I mean, a couple bans that come to mind at this point, something like Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa seems to be a pretty big one when it comes to like what you pair against, not pair, but what you answer that Ziggs with. So, I don't know quite yet, but it's nice to see a bit of a shakeup here. You can still see some remnants from game one and game two with that Ornn pick and with that Rel pick coming through, but everything else is completely brand new. So, it's nice. Yeah. Very nice to see.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. I mean, it would be kind of interesting to see who could, play that style the best, but I'm glad that we're getting a little bit of a shakeup here. I guess with the second phase of draft, we still don't totally know. We still might get something that's a little more similar to what we were seeing, but with the Jarvan banned away, again, that's going to change things up just a little bit here. You don't have a ganking jungler, but I expect the Nautilus. Here's what I'm interested. Do you do something a little bit more self-sustaining, right? Like you said, something like a Kai'Sa or Kalista is a solid answer to the Ziggs. Maybe not the Kalista as much, but I think the Kai'Sa, like you said, you kind of fight. You go with fire. You try to just beat the hell out of the Ziggs instead of trying to match it. But maybe you go with something like an Ezreal, and then that unlocks the support to get out of lane, right? Kakao, who's sung his praises kind of all day, and Nautilus and Leona and champions like that, Rakan, you can function as almost a secondary jungler.
That's exactly it too, and that really is a question, right? How does Conduit actually want to answer this Ziggs? At this point right now, this R4 is coming through. It looks like they still think that Volibear is going towards top, especially with that Jarvan ban, and if not, at least they're just taking it out of the options for Cloud Gaming. So this R4, I think, is going to be really indicative of what we can expect to see, because at this point right now, one of these flexes is going to have to be broken at this point. So what comes through, I don't know, but this R5 is almost certainly, in my opinion, being safe for that mid laner, and it looks like right there's our answer. So that's going to be Volibear top, and that's going to be Maokai jungle. So a funny note, a little here. So Lilia does tend to do really well into the Maokai. Maokai Raptors are it's actually one of the strongest when it comes to tank junglers, but the big difference is that Lilia Raptors beats that and more, because if you're able to get that first Raptors by doing some sort of a late invade as a Lilia, and you could set up the timer for the second Raptors, that's when you could really start to snowball on that champion there. So that could be an angle for them, absolutely. But as time goes right now, Conduit's team comp, the way that they've drafted, they have time on their side, and we've seen game 1 and game 2, they've lasted quite a long time. So when it comes to scaling, you're going to see that right there. And of course, we're going to get the Aphelios. We talked about it, right? If you're going to trade for Hyperscaler, you're going to get it. The only issue that I see right now is that Ziggs does really, really, really well into Aphelios. So you have counterpicked yourself in that regard. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. At the end of the day, it's game 3. It's all about comfort. But individually in that matchup, especially when it comes like solo queue or anything, you look at the win rates, like it's abysmal for Aphelios. So that's a spicy R5. I'd love to see that too, by the way. Very nice.
How do you read it into the Hoi specifically?
Into the Hoi, I mean, so what's going to end up happening, so for the first 3 waves, for the first 3 levels, Hoi is going to have that priority, but as time goes on, so really the whole job for the Hoi is to actually get that priority set up, get that HP advantage before level 3, because at level 3, that's when the Yasuo could start to answer. So the Yasuo doesn't have a lot of angles when it comes to the rest of his team. Like you have the Rel knockup, which is really nice. I guess you have the Ziggs satchel charge, so that's okay. But individually, as time goes on, it's going to be really difficult for the Hoi to be able to deal with the Yasuo, especially when it comes to side lane. So Cloud Gaming, when it stands right now, they have pretty good side lane champions. They have pretty good engage, but the Yasuo in itself, early game, no prio. As it goes to level 3 and then onwards, you'll start to see that start to shift. It just depends on how much of an advantage the Hoi is actually gathered before that level 3 mark.
All right. Now you can certainly outrange him, but then, like you said, there's a couple interesting things to watch. I'm going to be keeping an eye on this Lilia snowball on the Raptors. That's I mean, people talk about the Lilia Raptors, right? But I think you kind of expanded on it. It's like, okay, it's not just Raptors 1, right? It's what do you do off that, right? How do you snowball, like you said, resetting that timer, getting those extra XP, those big boy camps up, and Cotton, CEJ. Conduit. They have drafted themselves a little bit of, again, putting a little bit of a spin on the other side of things, or on their the competition they drafted in games 1 or in game 2, I should say. Clown Gaming on the other side of things, opting for a little bit more comfort. This should be interesting here. We're going to take it to a quick break. When we come back, game 3, all or nothing for this week 1 best of 3 decider between Clown Gaming and Conduit. We'll be right back.
See you soon.
Game 3, it's for all the marbles between Conduit, JiJi, and Cloud Gaming Crab Wranglers. I am 4x4, that is Turk. Interesting one here as Conduit look to keep the momentum going and take a series win here, trying to avoid the upset. I guess we'll find out more and more as the league and the weeks go on. It should be us two pretty much going through this entire AEL season and into and through playoffs. So we hope that you're enjoying getting to know the teams as much as we are. Frozen Turd and company, if Cloud Gaming do end up getting the dub here, I think series MVP, I'm looking at either Frozen Turd or Vifra, especially for Vifra's game 1 performance on the Jarvan. He was awesome. And then Frozen Turd, man, putting it all on the table with this Yasuo pick. We didn't talk about it in draft, but I'm gonna let you get on your soapbox here, Turk. This Yasuo could be doing a lot.
This Yasuo can do an absolute ton. So we talked about it early game, not so much, but as this game progresses here, Frozen Turd does need to be a little bit careful. Just a tiny chunk. But the wind wall has massive, massive value this game. So if you're going to B1 the Ornn, that's fine. It's really high priority for game 1, for game 2, I get that. But the Yasuo R5 makes a ton of sense. So the second that you group up as Cloud Gaming, the problem that Conduit is going to have is when you try to match, pulling trigger with that Ornn, it all revolves around the wind wall. So the wind wall completely negates that entirely. So the Yasuo pick, like we talked about early game, it's gonna be difficult, but come team fights, like things really start to click for that champion.
Yeah, and that's what we're looking for, right? Like you said, the value you get on the Ornn alone, right? Because you talk about ways to start fights, and that was something that both winning compositions in games 1 and game 2, they had that in spades. This time, I mean, not quite as much. I think Cloud Gaming has the edge in that regard. Anything with a Rel and just some sort. I mean, well, Maokai, I mean, he just takes up the entire river, like we were talking about it. He just scales so much better than something like a Jarvan, another similar sort of bridge champ, if you want to call it that.
Yep.
But then Chris on this Lilia did end up going with those Raptors, had the ward on it, and actually didn't start Raptor. Lies. They're both still up here. Hold on a second. We will dissect that in just a little bit. Make sure this trade doesn't happen. All right, it looks like no Raptors were taken.
That's right, no Raptors. I think this is actually quite smart pathing here from Vifra too. Like, he recognizes this, so what he's doing right now, this whole clear, this is basically designed as an anti-invade clear. So when you start bot side, then you path towards top, the only issue is that you are spotted on a ward. This basically negates this right now. So the Lilia, seeing that, you do have the option to invade that bot side. The only issue is you don't have prio right now, and you're probably not going to have prio for a good chunk of this game. So I think this is pretty smart pathing for Vifra. Basically denies that sort of invade from the Lilia, and crucially right now at this point too, maybe Chris doesn't even care, right? He's looking pretty solid here at this point. He's already 1 camp ahead. As time goes on, he's sitting on 2, soon to be 3. So Vifra swinging around here mid. He does have the flash, really easy CC, and if this flash is burned on the way, which it looks like it just was there, we actually ended up missing that. This is crucial already. So level 3, Yasuo has that prio, especially with the flash being burned, so mid lane's gonna be very impactful. And Kakalin seeing a bit of a trade.
You talk
have
about
Chris around.
Swirl Seed barely lands around a Koopa. The splash damage goes down. Auto able to get down there from Kakalin.
Wow.
The damage down is Chris. Adam gets the shield from the mount up, and it's just enough to keep him alive. So a couple of early skirmishes here, trying to get the ball rolling. Talk about the importance of it for Cloud Gaming. But the Conduit responding very nicely as well.
Yeah, they're doing a fantastic job there. And actually that negates, so we talk about it, right? The early prio to Yasuo, he doesn't have it so much. The good news for him in this instance, he absolutely does now, especially at this level 4 mark. By this point right now, you can definitely match the wave clear. You have that wind wall if you need it to block something from that wave coming through. But at this point right now, with Wei not having flash, becomes very difficult. This is a very, very hard mid lane for you to play. Anytime that you need to try to crash these mid waves, you have to overextend in the process. Maokai still has a flash, Frozen Turd still has a flash on the asshole. Lots and lots of angles on OTF, and you can tell just based off his positioning, he's starting to respect, and this wave inevitably will, unless Frozen Turd moves it, end up going towards the red turrets. So OTF already in a bit of trouble with this mid lane here, and we'll see how he plays around this.
Frozen Turd trying to make him pay for it, but trading back pretty nicely here. Frozen Turd a little low on flow there. OTF, I thought that was mana. It was not, but the Colin actually able to get the ward down just a little bit here, but the dragon coming up as well. Gonna be the first one of the game, obviously. Terps and macro. Terps actually get a pretty decent wave push here. Big wave stack here. It's not a cannon wave, but macro It'll take that matchup very, very nicely. You called it out, Turk. The Volibear is going to feel really good into the Ornn here. The CS might not show it here, but I guess the proof will be in the pudding as far as who gets the who comes out on top in this lane just a little bit later. Macro, got the shield down from the Sky Splitter there, but not much else.
Yeah, that's it right now. That Volibear, as time goes on, he's going to be able to deal with that Ornn quite well. So that 1v1 is going to be a-okay. Right now, Terps does not have that flash. Macro's probably just going to take his reset, end up TPing, and Vifra is around the wing in case they want to look for something, but looks like not much else is going to happen, and this is a fantastic state for Chris right now. As you can already see, this CS advantage starting to really accrue, the amount of camps that Lilia has in comparison to that Maokai, right? That's only going to continue to accelerate. Already finished his second clear here. Chris moving up, taking a decent trade on Turd.
Turd, we get the wind wall with a flash, and it's enough. I did not think there was going to be that much damage. The Faded Ashes, they nerfed the monster damage, but the champion damage is still just fine. Turd's able to get the R2 down. Here comes Vifra with the Nature's Grasp, able to go forward. Grab himself a return kill here. Actually goes over to Macro. Fair enough. Probably better for everyone involved. 1 for 1.
Yeah. In OTF, super important that Chris is able to find that window for them off that play too. It looks like they're going to be able to start setting up towards this dragon, net this, and this is going to be the first dragon in 6.5 minutes. That's a pretty good start, and of course you want to be stacking those dragons if you want a team fight. In Conduit, JiJi's team comp wants to do exactly that. So OTF in a much better game state now, much better here, and able to net that kill. I was surprised. I was very surprised at that damage coming in from that Q, but it's enough. And Kakalin just trading a little bit there. Really at the end of the day, that's just a nice cancel from the back there, just delaying a bit of tempo, but cross maps coming through, right? We see the grubs being traded there from Clown Gaming while the dragon does go to Conduit.
Talked about Kakalin and KTL specifically, the kind of the hard time that he's going to have in this lane. Opting to go for the call in the Vamp Scepter, just says, I'm going to opt out of this laning phase as best I can. But we talked about kind of, what the response to that is. Vifra and the role that he is going to have to play. As this game goes on, you like to think the scaling is on the side of Conduit JiJi, but if you can set this Aphelios behind, right, eventually he will become a terror. There goes the first Lilting Lullaby of the game, and it is a beauty helping out from downtown. Actually getting decent damage down with that Mega Inferno Bomb, and Frozen Turd able to get Chris.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, we're going to see that Lilia all burn in the process. It looks like it's going to be a clean kill, but the collapse is just too much for Clown Gaming. And they're there first. They pull trigger. They find that angle there. The Rel knockup sinking in with the Aswell knockup gets that kill for them. And now Frozen Turd, he's got that kill. So mid is trading back and forth. And I think we really want to highlight it there. We talked about how the Ziggs was going to have a lot of priority in that Aphelios. That's absolutely true. But off the back of Chris, that early gank, burning those flashes, absorbs a lot of pressure for KTL on this Aphelios, and he should be able to continue to scale. Bouncing bombs, if they continue to miss right there, he's going to be feeling really good for this lane. But as time goes on here, we'll have to see how this is adapted to. Chris getting killed there has really started to equalize that CS. The minion advantage just isn't there. Macro could be in a bit of trouble here.
Yeah, if Chris can get forward here, maybe get the slowdown on him, but it's not going to be enough. But you do get both ultimates burned here. If Terps can connect with the R2, maybe you've got a chance. Your Flash, Bellows Breath, Empowered Auto, not going to be enough. Oh, just barely. Chris saves the day again. 2 kills on the Lilia.
Oh, that shield almost came through from Macro, and that might have kept him alive, but it doesn't. It does not. And Chris now sitting at a really good state, right? The one blunder there dying definitely sucks for your tempo. You can't continue to get that CS advantage like what you were doing, but having 2 kills, you're a-okay. You still have the full clear all the way from top side down to bot, where you can look to impact the map once again here. Kakalin does need to be a little bit careful here though. I think waiting for your jungler is the right move if you're Conduit JiJi bot side here. There's nothing that you need to do except let Chris scale.
And you're keeping up with the gold, right? I mean, you thought, look, this Koopa is just going to kind of get to do whatever he wants on the Ziggs with this wave. But if you look at the gold right now, the producers have highlighted for us, they're effectively tied, right? You're down 50 gold. That is, what, 3 minions-ish, right? That's really not much. Chris is what is accelerated here. That, if you're a Clown Gaming enjoyer, Chris is on the Lilia is what you're worried about here. 2 items, well on his way to being an absolute terror in the late game, but a couple kills have gone over to the solo laners on the side of Clown Gaming, and that ult right back off cooldown. Just as I say that, this team can tangle 2v2 as well. Kakalin trying to bail out his AD carry, but doing decent damage here. Able to get the cleanse out, sidesteps the bomb, and a couple autos might do it. KTL pulled a rabbit out of a hat. Absolutely phenomenal 2v2 to flip that around for the AD carry of Conduit JiJi.
So well played from KTL and Kakalin. And I honestly thought they should have waited for their jungle, but if they're feeling themselves and they can pull it off, they do it. And they get that kill. So once again, that bot side that I thought, you thought, was not in favor of the side of Conduit JiJi has been able to do wonders so far, right? You're not that far down in CS. Things are looking A-okay for KTL, Kakalin here. You can take your reset, you can get back out on the map. You're going to be looking really strong right now. Terps absorbing good pressure here from Macro too. Doing a very good job in this Ornn, this counter matchup here. So Ornn really does seem like quite a staple for both of these teams here. And it'll be interesting to see how these teams adapt too. When it not even come to this series, but just future series too. Does the Ornn remain that much of a priority in future series? I don't know, but it makes me wonder a little bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely something I'm looking forward to tracking. I mean, we've seen such good stuff from both of these teams on the micro level and the macro level, but on the micro level especially, man, I mean, that's stuff like watching KTL outplay that's what gets me excited, man. I mean, no matter what elo you aren't casting, there is some hype stuff to be found. And KTL playing that fight was absolutely gorgeous. Cloud Gaming now on their way to the Grubs. Found themselves, pretty much all of them, actually. They have hoovered up all six for six. Despite being down to 500 gold, those Grubs are going to help them out immensely. Yasuo can do his thing in a side lane. Now in with the hook goes Colin. That sick garb hasn't actually been gobbled up just yet. There goes Nature's Grasp. Frozen Turd able to get a big damage down there, but the CC is going to come down. Lilting Lullaby only finds a Nautilus, though. Frozen Turd is still free firing here. Kakalin able to get the CC down. Finally, OTF able to show up and rain down some damage. Mega Inferno Bomb as Koopa helps from downtown from a screen away. Frozen Turd somehow still alive, get just enough lifesteal, but OTS able to stay safe and get damage down as well. Third assist for him. Now 4 kills, make it 5. Oh, just kidding. But you've got 2 strong AP carries well on their way to being terrors. The Moonlight Vigil's gonna land one more. Oh no, KTL! Stop it! It is all going so well for Conduit JiJi all over the map.
Oh, it looks like they're going to be poised to take this dragon here too, start stacking this. So in the process, they give up 6 grubs. That's not ideal by any means. Of course, that split push pressure is going to be there for both the Volibear and the Yasuo. But if you're able to net this dragon up right now, you do have this timer, so you need to burn it. You need to full hit it. The rest of the team is getting back on the map from Clown Gaming, but you're in a great spot to continue to scale. And Chris, what a fantastic job he's done.
Really, really awesome stuff. I mean, Chris, you were a little bit worried up as far as carry junglers after that Kane performance, but it really feels like it is. I mean, that was his first loss on it in 7 games, right? So like we talked about it on solo queue. He'd been riding and is on still on solo queue anyway. A 7-game win streak on the Kane, 4 MVP performances as well. So clearly knows his way around that champion. Just didn't go well kind of in the mid and late game. He powered it fine in the early game, but it fell off a cliff there in the late game. Now Macro and Terps going at it here again in the top lane. But man, got to talk about KTL, man. And then just as this game goes on, what a terror he is going to be here. I mean, I'm having a tough time, Turk, seeing what are the weaknesses in this Conduit JiJi comp. Stop it. You're just bullying the kid now. That's messed up. Was the Satchel Charge in the Flash? All right, fair enough, Koopa. All right, well, I wasn't familiar with your game, man. Sorry.
That's really well played by him to be able to get out of that.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the TP, so he's gonna have to get this. Oh, looks like he's gonna stay. He does have Vifra in the wing here, so there could be an angle. But KTL, you highlighted it. Really smart decision here. He actually goes for Bloodthirster first. Could be in a bit of trouble here. Almost has that cleanse up, so still relatively safe, but having that Bloodthirster negates a lot of this poke from that Ziggs, and when you're this accelerated here, you're matching the CS from the Ziggs in this counter matchup, and you have those 2 kills with that call completed. KTL is in a fantastic spot here to be able to continue to accelerate this game here for himself, and it really does seem like the name of the game for both of these games, really. Game 1 and Game 2 has been those hyper scaling ADs, and OTF. Good flash.
Yeah, very nice flash. Bought himself a ton of space, but is the damage just too much? Bramble Smash able to help out just a little bit, but here comes Chris out of nowhere. Kill number 5. This man has 4 legs, and he's going to make it your problem. Absolutely clutch performance here by Chris on the Lily. Able to get the damage over the wall is OTF. Frozen Turd trying to maybe find a way back into this fight, but instead it will be Vifra that is the sacrificial lamb. OTF on the board. Now 9-4. As Kakalin might be next on the menu for the Ziggs, but buys just enough space for KTL to keep ripping through this tower.
Yeah, that's it right now. Maybe a little bit of pressure comes in from the spot side turret. Looks like you might even be able to net it up. Oh, he is going to take the aggro in the process. The Ziggs wave clear is enough, so that tier 1 doesn't go down for bot side just yet. But yeah, once again, you got to highlight it. Chris just in the right place at the right time. Hook almost hits.
Whoa.
Kakalin almost dies.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think he's pretty happy that one didn't find the zigs or the walls. That sometimes that Nautilus hitbox gets skinny at the right times too. So bailed him out there.
Yeah, definitely did. Yeah, you land that hook. I think you're a dead man. So
yeah.
Well, he lives. That's good. And in the process right now, Chris, you see on the opposite side of the map, he continues just to ramp up here at this point right now. Still pretty even when it comes to camps, right? The CS advantage isn't quite there, but of course the kills are. 5 and 1. It does have that Seeker's Arm Guard too, so effectively has that Zhonya's at this point right now. So he's going to be a very, very difficult target to kill. And just overall good itemization here from Conduit. Really love that Bloodthirster coming in from that Aphelios. Not the most traditional like first item rush, especially nowadays. There was definitely a time in this season when it was, but overall you really got to hand it to KTL and especially Chris here too with the Seeker's Arm Guard here. I think it's a very smart decision to purchase.
Now I've got a question for you here, Turk. I think, look, like Yasuo's ultimate, it is purely knock-ups, not knock-backs, right?
It's displacement, so yep, it's knockbacks too. He can ult off the Maokai.
I was gonna say the Maokai Q. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here, right? Is like, okay, as Conduit JiJi start to run away with this, hold on a second here. Ghost popped as well by Macro to try to keep up. Terp's able to get decent damage down, but just enough to save his own life. Summoner for summoner, ult for ult, but both still have their G up. OTF, a flashless Hui often means a dead Hui, able to Bramble Smash, but just a little bit out of reach there. We didn't get to see that aforementioned combo in action. Here goes a Spiraling Despair as the cavalry shows up, and Kakalin and Chris again. Wow. Right place, right time. This jungle support duo, man, for Conduit JiJi, just putting on a freaking clinic.
Yep. There's no question about that. Game 2 and Game 3. You can actually see the rotation here from that mid-prow swinging right down to bot side. I don't think he's diveable at this point right now, especially if you're able to clear that wave. What am I talking about? You can just take the turret.
I was going to say, it doesn't have to be diveable if they just rip through the tower. Here comes the TP from Macro, but is it too little too late? Kakalin able to buy a little bit of time. Adam buying some of his own. Chris with that huge stopwatch buys his time for his team to go not 1, but 2 deep in the teleport department. Here comes Terps, able to get the Bellows Breath and the Searing Charge down. Very nicely done. KTL on board with his 3rd kill of the game. They are spreading the love out very, very nicely. 6 kills for the Lilia, 3 for OTF on the Hui, 3 for KTL. Turk, games 1 and 2 were very back and forth affairs. This one's really going to need to go forth in this mid game because Cloud Gamer just getting run out of the water right now.
Yeah, you got to wonder, really, where's your angle to be able to get back into this game? You're kind of wondering, right? Like, we know it's not going to be through jungle. There's no way about that. If Viffer can find angles to be able to facilitate Frozen Turd, maybe. But man, it feels so dire right now. It's so difficult to be able to retake any sort of vision control around those rivers, around those neutrals. And at this point right now, 18 minutes, you've got that soul point unlocked. Like, it is difficult for you. This tier 1 mid is most certainly going down at this point too. So, I mean, Conduit JiJi, they're just absolutely in the driver's seat here. They've done such a good job, and I really do want to highlight it one more time. It really is up the back of Chris. He's done such a fantastic job with this Lilia, setting up so much priority even before the level 6 mark, right? Having as much impact as he did towards that bot side, burning the flash on that Ziggs really gives KTL the space that he needs to be able to continue to scale. And at that point, once you have those 2 items on KTL, you can see the Bloodthirster coming in, Terps and Macro, over and over and over again, just trading back and forth. But this game is so accelerated now for Conduit JiJi. It really does feel like at this point, even if you just wait for the next time around this neutral, you're going to be A-okay. But this is where actually a lot of teams tend to falter. So by no means are you in a bad spot. I would never once make that claim. I'd be playing some serious devil's advocate. But at this point right now, with the tier 1s being down, the game starts to slow down. You can play topside, which is what I'd like to see Kakalin doing here. But once all these tier 1s are gone, the lull state begins. There's not a lot to play for besides those neutrals. So this is where you can see a lot of teams, even with these advantages, start to overpressure, start to overforce. And that's when picks can happen. And at this point, too, right now, you look at all of the bounties available for Chris, OTF, and KTL. That's an objective in and of itself. You do not want to die.
What I was going to say, I mean, we've seen, you talk about overforcing here with a lead during the lull state. In game 1 and game 2, we did see that from Conduit JiJi. So they're very much not immune to that. And for every throw, there's a catch. Cloud Gaming, to their credit, have done a good job of seizing those picks, right? I mean, in game 2, the fact that they got the pick that they did onto who was? I think it was OTF on the Lilia, right? They thought they had Viffer's Jarvan, caught into a corner there. But to be able to even go for that when you're 10k down, you know that one little mistake could mean the game's end, and be able to get something back on that, very nicely done. Lots of dive going, everything ultimate over the wall, but KTL able to get the Moonlight Vigil, but only on one here. He's got red white, able to sustain himself, able to cleanse out, gets exhausted, flashes over, picks a new target in Koopa, but everybody else goes with him. Finally, the Lilting Lullaby goes down, and it's enough damage to just overpower Cloud Gaming. Another double for Chris.
That's a 4v5 too. Look at this OTF in that bot side.
Oh my goodness, no.
He's gonna secure this tier 2. It is so dire right now.
Dude, I'm gonna keep it a stack. I did not realize that was a 4v5. That is absolutely tragic.
It is so difficult for Cloud Gaming to be able to do anything about this. And yeah, I mean, it just took a little bit of time for Conduit to be able to ramp up, right? The game 1 we saw, honestly, at the end of the day, I think you and I both agreed it felt like a comp diff. Right? Game 2, they adapt. They end up taking the comp that they lost to in game 1. Yeah. They play it phenomenally. Game 3, it's not even close. Not even close. And with those adaptations, right, that B1 Ornn that came in, I didn't anticipate that. I knew it was high prio, but I didn't anticipate that. And it looks like they've just done such a good job around that Ornn pick, around this Lilia pick especially, where this champion right here is... this champion right here is just the one who's been able to snowball this game so much. So yeah, you really got to hand it. You really got to hand it to Conduit JiJi here. I think.
Good adaptation, good resilience, season opening game for both these teams. Matches all across the AEL going on. But yeah, this one, the presumptive for some people top dogs, getting humbled a little bit in game 1 by Cloud Gaming. One of the couple rosters they have in this league. And bouncing back very, very nicely and looking like they're right now having a real dominant time of it. 3 dragons to 0. The only thing they've lost out on is the Grubs 6-0. And at this point, I mean, that's just kind of icing on a bit of a turd cake. They've got kind of nothing going here. And the thing is, like, what worries me even more about more than the fact that they've got nothing going, it feels like there isn't just all the eggs in one basket for Conduit, right? If you take down the Lilia, OTF, and KTL are still going to rip right through you, and so much more so as the game goes on. They've got a 3-headed dragon sitting over there. If you cut off one of the heads, it really doesn't matter. Hell, we literally just saw that. They won a 4v5.
Yep, that's right. And even Kakal, he and himself right now has a 200 gold bounty. So like that should kind of speak. That should speak volumes. At least I would say so. So for this game state right now, and how Cloud Gaming adapts, I don't know. I mean, at this point right now, it seems like you really do need to try to overload side lanes. Hope to God that one member on Conduit JiJi overextends. You know it won't be on the Ornn. You can't kill the Ornn. Look at the damage there too.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Koopa's the one who should be poking, for the record.
Yeah, he's a little bit. I mean, well, actually, no, he's not a little bit behind the curve. He's actually, as far as CS anyway, he's right on the curve. And again, credit Frozen Turd as well, catching all his waves when he needs to. Adam, I think, thought about going over the wall there. No Hex Flash though, so not able to get over there. Super Mega Death, or excuse me, the Mega Inferno Bomb, able to go down and get a little bit of damage down. No, it's a 4v4 though, because Frozen Turd is in the top lane, got his team an objective bounty, not for nothing. And Chris, meanwhile, soloing the dragon and getting his team Ocean Soul on the mark.
That's right, and it actually looks like that Conduit is going to be a little bit late to this response towards topside. I don't anticipate that tier 2 going down yet, but lots of damage being applied to it. Looks like Frozen Turd is more than willing to trade his life for this in the process, so they could very well get this. So this is huge. 2 objective bounties right now at this point is massive. Now, does it get you back into the game? No. Not even close. No. But you need to be trading. You need to be getting something.
Yep. And Frozen Turd looks like he's going to give over that kill. I thought maybe for a second there he could have gotten on his turf. Ooh, is he going to get the reset? I don't think he's going to give any gold over. I think it'll have been 13 seconds unless KTL wants to, like, well, no, he doesn't even have flash for this. Calibrum not going to find its mark. If a Calibrum can't reach you, then no one can.
Hey, that's a dub right there.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
That's a dub. I'll take that. That's 2 objective bounties and an execute, right? That's nice to see. So the Yasuo, not quite back, but 2 objective bounties feels nice. Doesn't get you too close to be able to do too much off that, but of course right now we're going to see this Baron start up here from Conduit JiJi. Kakal doing a good job of zoning.
Yeah, just playing bodyguard right now, preventing Adam or Vifra from getting into the pit, but with no flash on Vifra and Adam. I mean, if you're going to flash someone in there, it's got to be Vifra. But with no flash, no way to get over there in a hurry. Maybe you could Bramble Smash over if you have vision, but it will not be enough. You see all sorts of things flying over from the other side as they just kind of they're just throwing the peanuts that you mentioned. but not able to get over there. So again, just kind of smooth sailing, pretty uninhibited here. The only bumps in the road are these kind of 1,000 gold injections that Clown Gaming are getting via the objective bounties.
That's exactly it too, and you can really see Conduit. They really are doing such a good job, basically running a clinic here too, right? They end up forcing that Baron, right, with that staggered timer on Frozen Turd with that Yasuo. When he does get that execute, that's great, but in the process, you're dead for 25 seconds. Looks like Conduit doesn't mind. They just rush the Baron, and crucially too, Kakalin ends up just zoning them off. So they do everything right. They check all of the boxes. They secure this Baron, and now they get back on the map. And again, we want to see them, because at this point, no doubt, this is their game to lose. We want to see how quickly they can continue to accelerate this game, right? You've got the Baron, you've got the Soul, you've got Elder in 4 minutes right now. You're sieging this tier 2 mid. We want to see how well and how cleanly they can execute this game.
Yeah, because we've seen them lose the hard way. We've seen them win the hard way. Now, if these are your GOATs, AEL enjoyers, they got to do it the easy way as well. And right now, they've got a fantastic opportunity to do that. Frozen Turd, he's got the Bork, he's got the Stride Breaker as well. Don't think I saw that coming, but I like the sauce. Not going to be enough to take down Terps. He's on, wow, already on an ornament. That's kind of, I don't think I've ever seen that, to be on an ornament, but have that be your only item. I feel like usually you've got 2 items at that point, but that's really, I'm looking for stuff to talk about here. They're up 10,000. Well,
how about this?
Yeah, Adam giving me something to talk about here. Actually starting off this fight pretty good, and now going to make me look like a huge D-bag for calling that out. Frozen Turd getting into the fight here, able to get something, but not a knock-up for any sort of big ultimate that was on cooldown anyway. Finally, the R2 comes in from Terps, and somehow, some way, well, actually, I know how. It's just a wallet diff, because in no other universe should no one have died in that fight.
Nope, not at all. We're going to see that Zhonya's reset off that turret aggro there from Chris. Beautifully done. Viffer should be going down there from OTF. Oh, looks like it's going to be Chris who nets that, and death timers are long enough. I think it might be game there. They have the wave coming in too. They need to get it pushed. There we go. So the wave is coming through, and death timers are still a little bit short here. So okay, not quite. Not quite, but the base is broken. Mid inhib is down. We do have a pause. It looked like KTL did actually end up leaving the game. I feel like he DC'd. I feel like that wasn't just a thank you, wham bam, thank you ma'am type of thing, and just left the game, called her a day. I'd like to think that he just DC'd there, so hopefully we won't be too long. But I mean, this gives us some time to relax. We could kind of take a breath or two and kind of look at this game and kind of once again go back to Conduit here. So one of the top dogs here we anticipate for this league. You already said it. Game 1 didn't go so well. Game 2 adaptation's fantastic. They won the hard way. Game 3, 22-5, over an 11k gold lead at this point right now. You have the Soul. You have Elder coming up in 2.5 minutes. You have the base cracked in mid. Let's see you close this out. 27 minutes. We want to see this done. I don't know. Let's play a little game with this, because what else are we going to do, right? I'd like to see this game done before maybe the 32-minute mark. That'll give them 5 minutes.
Ooh.
Do you think that's possible? I think it is.
I think it is, if nothing else, because we've got 2 enormously powerful objectives coming up before 5 minutes from now, right? So I think, I mean, shoot, I think it could be, is 31 spicy? I mean, 31, I'm assuming that basically, you're right, you win the Elder fight. That'll take you to about 30, 30 and a half. Can you knock down the Nexus in 30 seconds? Man, you set the odds very well here. If this casting thing doesn't work out, maybe look into bookmaking.
It sounds good to me. Might make more money.
Not that we condone that sort of thing. Maybe let's put the brakes on that side.
That's right. Yeah.
This is a really bad idea. Hopefully, we're able to get this on pause soon, and we can just see, like you said, Conduit just kind of try to close this game out quickly. But Clown Gaming, I want to give them their flowers. I mean, this game 3, if you're just tuning in here, and you're wondering how in God's green earth did Clown Gaming get a game 1, or even take game 2 to 40 minutes? Well, we can tell you, it's actually they pulled off a very good early game. Vifra had a phenomenal game on the Jarvan. There are a lot of things to like about this team, and even the fact that we're seeing Koopa play a couple of different styles of AD carry. I feel like this game is maybe not the poster child for that, considering you got 2v2 killed and your team is losing. But it's cool to see an AD carry that. I mean, we saw them hover the Seraphine, right, earlier. Yep. So it's clear that Koopa has some of that in his bag.
That's exactly it, too, right? That versatility really does come through. And yeah, if you're willing to pick out those champions like the Ziggs, like the Seraphine, and maybe, I mean, obviously hindsight's 2020, but maybe the Seraphine was the play for them, and only time will tell as they adapt and progress their style of how they want to play. Maybe they will elect Koopa into more of that weak side role, and by picking something like the Ziggs and the Seraphine, they can start to really try to accelerate that game as much as possible. It's just equally so on the opposite side. Like, it's Chris. It really does feel like it's Chris, right? The amount of impact that this Lily has had has been, honest to God, phenomenal. Even from the first clear right away. So you take the first clear and you do a full clear. That's awesome. So it's a pretty telegraphed timer. You're going to be bot side right around 3.5, maybe closer to 4 minutes, something like that. Lilia maybe a little bit sooner. And you immediately impact bot, immediately, in a lane that you should not win. Aphelios Nihilus should not beat a Ziggs Rel. But if you're able to get those flashes burned, you deny so much pressure from Koopa and Adam in that process that already a pre-6 Lily has so much impact. And the rest of the game from there on out really does just feel like so much tempo has been gained from where Chris has been on the map to be able to make those plays happen. So definitely kudos to him. Kudos to the rest of the team too from Conduit. Now, this game's definitely not over by any means, but you almost think it, right? Like, let's get this game done. Let's go to bed, boys, and we'll plan out a scrim for a couple days from now, or we'll do whatever we want to do. But they're getting ready to pop the champagne.
Yep, and I think with that, we're going to take it to a quick break. Hopefully the rest of Game 3 coming at you sooner rather than later. Hopefully everyone's power situation is okay. Those of you in the South, those of you in the South, I'm surprised that you were able to watch this, honestly, if the internet's blocked out. But either way, be safe, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back. Power and internet situation, everyone is all good. Conduit just looking to close this game out. Yeah, I mean, let's looking at kind of the ways that Conduit, or excuse me, Cloud Gaming can get back into it. It's really, really tough. I mean, you're going to need just kind of the combo of all combos. Again, just kind of try to wombo your way into a victory. But my worry isn't that they can't make that happen. My worry is that it will not be enough because there's a 10,000 gold deficit on our screen.
Yeah, and it only gets worse from here too. It only gets worse at this point too. Like, definitely feels like the scaling from Conduit's just there. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, as a caster, you try to find the silver lining. Like, you do as much as you can, but sometimes it just ain't there, man.
Yep.
It just ain't there. And Vifra, you could see trying to retake here, just getting chunked down. And they have so much CC on the side of Conduit. where
Yeah.
they can find any member that they want. Of course, they have the gold lead, but even if it was a neutral state where gold was dead even, so much CC where they can lock somebody down, burn them, and Frozen Turd can't do anything about this. This tier 2 will be going down here. Has to burn the flash. Wow. I'm very surprised that came through, and at this point right now, you can see Macro, right? He's trying to pressure this bot side as much as he can, but it does not matter. Zig's wave clear, though. Will buy some extra time.
It feels like almost an extension of how, like a repeat, like a little deja vu of how Conduit closed out game 2, right? Instead of macro down there on the volley bear, it was macro down there on the Mordekaiser, right? Just trying to get something going. And again, credit to them, because if you're down this much gold this early into the game and you've still got kind of a little glimmer of hope, yeah, wow, this is giving me real big deja vu. Damn. Then look, you've got a hope and a prayer.
That's right. So I really like to see this too from Conduit, right? They recognize that the play's dead topside. We're going to see this trade coming through from Macro. He's probably dead in this instance. We have Kakala just around here too. The chain CC should come through.
Yep.
That poor bear.
Yep.
Yeah. What else can you do though, right? At that point, you're trading. At the very least, you're getting a tier 2 bot. But what I was saying is I'd like to see this from Conduit. They recognize that the play's dead topside. They get the resets in if they needed them, get back on the map, and now they're playing for Elder. And Elder secures the game, and hell, you don't even need the Elder. You can just take a fight.
No.
If a fight happens to come through right here, game is done and dusted. But doesn't look like much of a contest is going to be coming through here. Should be able to net this up, get the resets if they need to spend their gold. Frozen Turd does need to be dealt with in this top side here. We are seeing that reset coming in from Terps, so the pings are coming down. Don't think that tier 3 will be going down in the process, but this Elder most certainly will.
Oh boy, this
Done and dusted.
yeah, this is really, really tough, man. This is really, really tough. But again, Frozen Turd was trying to push something out, push some sort of side lane out, get a little bit of pressure here, and now he's a little more safe than maybe his solo lane brethren was in macro, because you've got Conduit rearing down and ready to go in that mid lane. Maybe Turks can cancel that. Nope, Turks not able to cancel the back. And so we're going to have pretty much a straight up 5v5 for, well, actually, or maybe do you just go Baron here? Let's see. You got 20 seconds until that, but you've already got Elder. Again, you don't need Baron just like you didn't need Elder. But maybe just for, again, ease of access to starting a fight, maybe they try to bait Conduit or Clown Gaming into a bad position.
That's right. Terps isn't quite around here. He should be burning his TP just to get here if that's what they want to play for. It looks like they do. Looks like they're just pushing towards this end. Baron Nashor has just spawned, like what we were talking about. Of course, that does not seem to be the priority, and probably rightfully so. You want to use as much of this Elder as you can. The only issue is Clown Gaming has quite a bit of wave clear. Ziggs.
Yeah, that is really doing a lot of work. I mean, a little bit like the Smolder last game, right? They've got ways to kind of turtle up here a little bit, but the Ziggs, I mean, that's half the reason why you draft this champ. He's just so good at controlling waves and can do so from so far away. KTL with red blue, just they shove in another super minion wave here. Marco getting a little too far forward, and there goes the Elder, snapping its claws under the feet of Clown Gaming. Frozen Turd trying to get something done here on an angle. Maybe Turks put off more than he could chew here. Can the tower help them pull off a miracle here? Lilting Lullaby goes out, and that will be the final straw. Vifra goes down. It's a 5-for-1 ace. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. We can go to bed as Conduit JiJi take a comeback reverse sweep, technically, 2-1 victory over Clown Gaming Crab Watchers.
And rightfully deserved. At the end of the day, like, to be able to have the mental, right? Game really is a game. League is like a game of inches, but it's also a game of miles. So the first game, if you go down, right, you keep your mental in check and you're able to just focus up, reevaluate. Game 2, let's play it out. Game 3, let's play that out. And when it came to game 3, like, that's just an absolute shellacking, man. Like, that's a 28-6, like, kill difference. I didn't even see the gold at the end. My guess, probably 14 minutes. And hopefully we can go on the post game, because we predicted 32 minutes. I wonder if they actually closed it out.
Ooh, facts.
32-03. 32.
Wow, damn.
Not bad.
That is tough. So close. Yeah, wow. Very nice.
Yeah, that is awesome. So yeah, kudos to them. And they did a fantastic job. So I'm excited to see how they continue to progress through this league. Obviously, this being the first week, right? This is kind of your introduction. You get the feel. I imagine that these guys have probably played quite a bit together, so they probably already got that synergy, and it most certainly looks like they do. But as this league progresses, it'll be very interesting to follow them and see how they progress. And of course, equally so, like Clown Gaming, like, they did not roll over and just let this game happen at all. Like, this series was very competitive.
No, absolutely not. Look, and they went for it in game 3, right? They kind of went with the Yasuo, got a lot of value out of it. It was a high risk, high reward pick. It didn't pan out this time around. But even just, I mean, look at this damage graph. Okay, to be fair, maybe the Ziggs is just padding on wave clear, right? Or not the wave, obviously damage to minions doesn't count, but just like everyone's just kind of coming into him and he can just sort of farm damage. But I think it goes to your point, Turk, that it always felt like there was a way, at least no matter how small it was. It got smaller and smaller as the game went on, but it felt like there was an avenue. And the Ziggs, the consistent damage this champ does, man, it's just wild.
Yep, that's exactly it. So Cloud Gaming, definitely some highlights for this series, and I would definitely be holding my head up high. But at the end of the day, Conduit takes it, and I really feel like it's off the back of the jungle support. Like Kakalin and Chris did such a fantastic job in this series. It feels like just syncing up, getting setups together, and then playing off of each other's tempo. And yeah, kudos to them, right? We saw the one early blunder where the Lily ended up going down there. Just the collapse from Cloud Gaming was just too much, too quick, and they get the kill on the Lilia. At that point, Lilia is sitting around 4 or 5 camps ahead, so you don't want to be dying there at all. That's going to lose a lot of tempo. But after that, it's just smooth sailing, man.
Yeah, you mentioned it. I mean, we only kind of touched on it for a bit, and we really should have focused on it more. What an early game from Chris on the Lily. It wasn't exactly how we kind of predicted, like, okay, with the Raptors specifically, but it was effectively what you said, right? Get the camps to respawn as fast as you can, just Astro clear. It didn't matter. The Faded Ashes got the monster damage nerf. It was only 5, but still, like, there's a 25% nerf on the thing that made it so busted. Just an amazing job by both these junglers. Really, really, really impressive stuff. Really fun to watch.
Yep, for sure. And Cloud Game, I feel like they knew that there was a bit of a timer there. Like, you need that Maokai to do something early on, and if you can't find an angle to be able to do that, then you're going to be in trouble. And I do like the pathing that we saw from the Maokai there, where you start your blue and then you head up towards your top side. And again, that's really there to be able to prevent that invade. So I understand and I like that, but when you do that, it puts you really far behind. So naturally, you're going to be going down in tempo anyways, because the Lily clear is just that much better. But when you do clear like that, I understand the rationale. I like it. You just got to recognize that your timer is now. You need to find something to happen at least within the second clear. And if you can't find that, then you know that you're going to be in trouble. And that's kind of what we saw.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail right on the head. And like you said, a lot of it going to be really, really fun to watch both of these teams. The Conduit JiJi with a very nice kind of comprehensive win, right? They won the easy way, they won the hard way. We went over it. And Cloud Gaming, they've got some really bright spots to watch on the jungle and support side of things as well. Frozen Turret, phenomenal in the mid lane. Should be a good one. Turk, I got nothing else. I think we're about done. We say we put this baby to bed.
I think we do too, and I'm gonna go to bed. So I'll join you on that one.
You are 3 time zones ahead of me. I feel pretty bad for you. I'm just chilling right now. I'm just like, what's for dinner? Turk's like, what do the back of my eyelids look like tonight? I would like to know that.
It could have been way worse when we had that pause and then we got the hurt.
You got a little worried, yeah.
Ooh, I was getting a little worried, man. But things worked out. Things worked out pretty well for us, and I hope the viewers enjoyed the stream too. Like, if you didn't like us, I hate to break it to you, we're probably going to be here quite a bit. So I think you're going to have to deal with us anyways. But I know I had fun. It was a pleasure to be able to cast with you there for a while. Like, very, very enjoyable for me. And I don't know, I'm looking forward to a lot more casts together, a lot more League, and a lot more Aegis. So pleasure's all mine. Thank you very much. Yeah,
so to AEL, to Aegis, to the viewers, to Caddy, our producer, to Ivar, and everyone at Aegis, big thank you to y'all. We will see you back here, same time, same place next week. Have a great rest of your night.
See you later, everyone. Bye-bye.